In 2012, Watch Dogs was revealed to the world. It promised a lot, some say too much, and just like a deadbeat dad, it didn't deliver on those promises, with the final product resembling the shell of the 2012 reveal, which left many gamers feeling robbed. And I don't blame them, as the game that was revealed was leagues better in terms of visual presentation and gameplay mechanics, but that's not to say the official release of Watch Dogs was terrible, or everything besides the amount of Ubisoft bugs that played the game on release and the strange 7th gen console port that every single video game released in 2014 insisted to have. With such a rocky start to a game release, you'd think that this game would be considered one of the worst games to ever be released, but that couldn't be farther from the truth, as beyond the lies and disappointment was a great game with a somewhat captivating story and a decent hacking gameplay loop that was unheard of at the time, which made it stand strong as its own game even all these years later. And as time has went on, more and more people admit to enjoying the first entry, and I'm one of those people. But before we get into the game, I wanted to go over the collector's editions, and there's not one but two this time around. The first one being the Vigilante edition, which comes with the Aiden Pearce cap and hat. That's the same thing, which comes with a cap and mask, which I'm proudly wearing for this video. I know I look beautiful. This edition also comes with, if I can open the goddamn box, this edition comes with the game, which is just your standard copy of Watch Dogs on the Xbox One. It also comes with the soundtrack, which, you know, is a very, very good soundtrack, and I'll talk about it later in the video, but yeah, and it's on a CD, if anyone uses CDs nowadays, which nobody does, because everyone has Spotify. Yay, thank God for the internet, right? Unfortunately, that's it for that edition, so we'll move on to the next one, which is the DeadSec edition, which is a massive freaking box. It's very big. So in the DeadSec edition, we got obviously the normal game, and we also got a steelbook, and I absolutely love steelbooks, so yeah, this is pretty cool. It also includes the map of Chicago if you just want to look at the map of Chicago. It also includes the soundtrack once again. Yeah, I've got so many soundtracks. And oh, speaking of soundtrack, I completely forgot. I actually have the vinyl. Yeah, I don't know where I found this, but I found it outside somewhere, and I picked it up, and I'm very lucky. It's a pretty nice vinyl. Like, I love vinyls. The DeadSec edition also comes with pins, if anyone likes pins. I don't really care for pins. I don't really hate pins. They're just pins. We also have these really cool augmented reality cards. I'm not sure what that means. I researched like what was in these you know, collector's editions, and I have no clue what augmented reality means, but they're cool, you know. They're cool. It also includes a Watch Dogs art book, which is pretty cool. If you know me, I love my art books. I really do. Purely because it makes me realize how much I cannot draw, and I envy the people that make these art books. Honestly, you guys are freaking insane. And last but not least, we have the Aiden Pearce figurine. Honestly, the coolest part of all these collector's editions, in my opinion. And just look at him. You know, he'll be watching over you while you sleep, you know, breathing down your neck while you're tossing and turning in bed. It's absolutely beautiful. I love it. I love Aiden Pearce. I love this figurine. You're beautiful. Overall, the collector's editions for Watch Dogs are easily some of the coolest collector's editions I own, because purely the hat and mask, like, you know, who doesn't want to cosplay as Aiden Pearce in their day-to-day lives? I sure as hell do. With that out of the way, let's head to Chicago and walk the path of revenge. From the moment this game starts, the player is sucked into the hacking world of Watch Dogs with a heist at a fancy hotel named the Merlot, involving the main protagonist Aiden Pearce back when he was a fixer, alongside his partner in crime and mentor, a hacker called Damian Branks, introducing us to the system in place within Chicago, the CTOS, that connects everything and everyone, allowing the two to siphon a bunch of money out of people's bank accounts with the click of a button, which instantly shows the vulnerability of this world we're about to embark on, and how the very system in place that is claimed to protect people can be used against anyone for malicious purposes, acting as a tool for control. But just like every heist, it goes horribly wrong, which results in a mysterious figure ordering a hit on Aiden that leads to the death of his 6-year-old niece, Lena. A deep and impactful way to start this story, and gives meaning and purpose to Aiden's future actions throughout the game. Taking us to 11 months later, where we witness Aiden interrogating the shooter, Enryece, in the most brutal way possible, with a tactical baton, and questioning him about who ordered the hit to no avail, forcing Aiden to pull out the greatest scare tactic of all. You can see the fear radiating from Enryece throughout this entire interaction, showing that Aiden is a man not to be messed with. And that's amplified through the phone recording after Aiden knocks Enryece out, where we hear Enryece panicking about Aiden relentlessly going after him and not stopping after the failed hit that unfortunately took out an innocent girl, resulting in this inevitable confrontation. The moment that Lena died, a part of Aiden did too, transforming into the vigilante, the Fox, and stopping at nothing to get revenge. In this beginning section of the game, I did notice that Aiden's coat was bugging out and glitching, which led me to restart my entire playthrough and find a fix, which involves setting the FPS to 60 and turning on VSync. Pretty simple, but disappointing for a game that came out in 2014. But other than that, there wasn't many bugs I ran into, which is a huge positive, considering the reputation that Watch Dogs has. But on the topic of Aiden's coat, it easily has to be the coolest part of his character, and Ubisoft really put extra attention and detail into the way his coat moves in the wind, especially whilst riding a motorcycle, making the player feel like an absolute badass, which many games fail to do, like that one motorcycle game that I won't mention because Jesus, that game is bad. Anyways, after knocking out Enryece, we head outside the locker room and get introduced to a fixer named Geordie Chin.
Where the hell you been?
What? He's talking to me. I leave you for 2 minutes.
Give me my bullets.
Geordie isn't your average fixer. He's completely immoral and a downright psychopath at times, but I absolutely love his character as he's the complete polar opposite to Aiden. Whereas Aiden is more stoic and broody, Geordie is charismatic and extroverted, which makes sense considering they aren't actually friends. But Aiden has hired him in order to find leads on the death of his niece, and Aiden definitely made the right choice as Geordie informs him that he called the cops to frame the kidnapping of Enryece as a gang shootout, while the two slip away unnoticed. An actual decent plan for someone so unhinged and uncaring. Whilst Geordie deals with Enryece, Aiden takes care of the incoming Chicago police force, and we're thrown into a forced stealth section to learn the basics of covering and moving and climbing, considering Aiden has no bullets in his gun. For those who haven't played Watch Dogs, it plays like your average third-person shooter, especially with the basic systems in place, but it's set apart with the hacking. And speaking of hacking, we get our first hands-on experience with the mechanics straight away, as we use the cameras to follow the data line to the source to unlock the door blocking us from going further, which is something that is copy and pasted a dozen times throughout the story of Watch Dogs, and trust me, it never gets old. That is a complete lie. There's not much emphasis on the hacking gameplay compared to the sequels, despite the main element of the game's world revolving around hacking. Overall, it's very simple and easy to perform, especially within car chases, as it's practically a one-hit kill every time with a click of a button, which reminds me of every single QuickTime event in existence. Yeah, even those ones. So the skill level to perform any hacking in this game is that of a single brain-celled individual, which isn't a bad thing, but actually makes the hacking gimmick a whole lot easier to perform and get used to. Even though I would have liked more variety when it comes to the hacking side of things, which of course the sequel fixed in many ways. And as you could already see, Aiden isn't your typical behind a computer screen hacker. He's classed as a grey hat hacker, which means he's a boots on the ground hacker that isn't afraid to get his hands dirty. Once the door is unlocked, we get introduced to the crafting system, which is insanely simple, thank God, as all you need to do is gather materials for whatever it is you want to craft and press the Y button. I assume Ubisoft didn't want to confuse any new players into this brand new IP and scare them away with some complex crafting system, as many people, including myself, cannot stand open world survival elements within third person shooters especially. After crafting the lure item and using it to distract an unsuspecting cop, which is something I did not use past this point of the game because it's much easier to take out everyone in your way than sneak past them. We use the lure to our advantage and sneak past the cop, easy stuff. Heading into a room chock full of civilians where we get a first-hand look at the profiling system that is easily my favorite part of Watch Dogs. So as I said before, the CTOS system connects everyone and everything, so everyone's data is stored from their income to their interests to their darkest secrets, and using the profiler, we can get a glimpse into any civilian's lives with a click of a button, even being able to take their last dime from their bank account after they've been evicted from their home. This adds life to Chicago, whereas other open world games, the NPCs are just there and have no life beyond occasional conversation and getting ran over. In Watch Dogs, these are unique living people with occupations, illnesses, whatever, you name it. If Dave had forgotten to wipe his ass earlier this morning, hit the profiler and you'll see exactly what time that occurred. This game reveals it all, and it's very impressive to see this detailed mechanic all these years later. After witnessing some members of the Viceroy gang, which we'll get into later, get impressed by the cops, we hack a nearby ATM withdrawing a cheeky $200 and call call up Bad Boy 17, easily one of the greatest usernames to come out of any video game ever. I honestly might just change my channel name to that masterpiece. Bad Boy 17 is your typical behind the computer hacker that is a member of DedSec, the notorious hacker group, and hides behind the Xbox Live gamer tag and a deep voice changer, but is vital to Aiden's path of revenge due to their immense skill. Aiden informs Bad Boy that he wants to create a big distraction by shutting down power to the entire stadium, but of course, we need an access code from a security guard to hack into the stadium network. So after taking the access code, we hack the stadium network and create a blackout. I personally had no use for blackouts in the open world, but I could see how they could be useful to hide from the Chicago police, and they obviously look cool as fuck. Using the darkness, we slip past the cops and block the door to leave without being noticed. On the way out, Jordy informs us that a car is waiting for us in the garage across the street, so using Jordy's info, we run over to the garage, and I've got to say the scenery here is absolutely stunning. I've never been to Chicago, but if it looks as gorgeous as this, I definitely want to visit. The atmosphere in this game is just mwah. After reaching the conveniently placed car, we get introduced to driving, which is unfortunately the worst part of this game in my opinion. For some reason, the driving feels heavy and floaty at the exact same time, and I understand that the cars in this game have different stats including acceleration and handling, but when the motorcycles are infinitely better than the cars in the video game, that's a major red flag in my books, because usually the motorcycles are the hardest ones to control, but not in Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs is different. Driving in open world games should be a simple mechanic to master, but in Watch Dogs, it feels like you're fighting against the car, crashing every few seconds and losing your mind, especially when chasing the enemy. I've honestly never struggled so hard whilst driving in a game before. Granted, I did get used to it after a while, but it remained a pet peeve of mine from start to finish. At least you can engage in first person driving if you're sick of the third person perspective, so I guess that's a nice touch. But driving isn't the only way to navigate Chicago. Free running is another mode of transportation, but it's more on the simple side compared to the sequel. So there's not much to talk about on that aspect other than it feels very heavy when performing parkour moves, which fits the overall vibe of the game, and the fact that Aiden is 39 years old during the events of Watch Dogs. Anyways, after escaping the police search area in record time, we get an insight on Aiden's thoughts and how he feels he needs to get inside Maurice's head to find more information, clearly being aware that Maurice's guilt is consuming him and will eventually cooperate. There's many moments like this throughout the story where we hear Aiden's thoughts and feelings about specific events, overall being monologues of his inner voice, bringing some life to his character beyond his occasional brooding in cutscenes with even more brooding in his head. But the more we get into the story, the more we'll see the inconsistency in his thoughts compared to his actions. As we head to Aiden's hideout, we're shown the GPS system, which is just your average open world map, but I'll admit that the GPS that's constantly on the screen is a nice touch, and definitely fits with the theme, style, and atmosphere of Watch Dogs very well, and is definitely one of the best looking ones I've ever seen. Eventually, we arrive at Aiden's hideout, which turns out to be a motel room, which is definitely the safest and most inconspicuous location to hide a huge revenge operation. As Aiden listens back to the recording of Maurice from earlier, he checks in on his sister and nephew, and I kind of find it weird that he's casually spying on his relatives. Like, that's pretty creepy. I understand he wants to protect them, but don't you think that's a little invasive? I guess it fits with the thematics of the world, but I don't think I'd like to be spied on personally. After his spying session, Aiden looks over at his investigation wall and realizes he's so close but so far away from catching the guy who led Lena to her death, and in frustration, Falcon punches the wall. That definitely hurt. And in true Ubisoft fashion, we gain access to the various skill trees of Watch Dogs: hacking, driving, combat, and crafted items. I never truly felt anything was necessary beyond a few skill upgrades here and there, as you can easily breeze through this game without upgrading at all, but some are definitely worth unlocking, like the car unlock skill that automatically disables car alarms and unlocks the door. So no more getting a wanted level by stealing the car. Praise Watch Dogs for solving my one gripe with many open world titles. Jesus Christ, look at that progression wheel. With everything done for the day, we head to bed, which is a system that I completely forgot about further in the game, as all it does is change the time of day depending on how long you choose to sleep, fills your focus meter, which we'll get to in a bit, and saves your game. Also resetting your quote heat, also known as the wanted level, but you'll be rarely spending time at hideouts anyway, so again, this feature is practically useless. Whilst we sleep, Aiden experiences a nightmare of the day that Lena died, a nightmare that he experiences every time he closes his eyes, living the same moments over and over again, which won't end till he brings justice to everyone involved, as it's consumed any type of positive memory of her in his mind, something that fuels him on his path of revenge. To get Aiden's mind off of things for a bit, we head outside the motel room to find potential crimes in the area, introducing us to the crime detection activity, which is beyond annoying as it pops up every 5 seconds. Even if you complete every crime that's required for the achievement, and not just that, you'd think it would be very simple stopping crimes as a vigilante. Well, no, because for some reason, someone at good old Ubisoft decided that you have to wait till the criminal gets aggressive or straight up shoots the victim to actually intervene. And if they so much as smell your breath, it fails the encounter, which makes it easily the most annoying activity within Watch Dogs, but I still did them anyway. I need that achievement, of course. After cosplaying as Batman for the day and stopping a criminal, bringing them to justice, we come across a group of lovely individuals. Believe it or not, Chicago isn't just a sandbox full of empty individuals, but is actually alive with NPCs doing everyday stuff like yoga and taking pictures. This is something that wasn't really needed for a game like this, as you really are walking on the streets, but they added it anyway, and I praise Ubisoft for that, as once again, it gives life to the environment beyond being able to profile each civilian. Moments later, Aiden's sister calls him up to let him know that his nephew's birthday is almost over, so we quickly head over there, but before that, Jordy gives us access to the car on demand feature. I seriously feel like we're being handed some of the greatest mechanics back to back. I'm feeling a little spoiled right now. If getting a vehicle wasn't easy enough, we can literally order any vehicle we want to our location in mere seconds. Well, a vehicle that we've unlocked, of course. Anyways, we finally arrive outside Nikki's house and Aiden braces himself for the visit, as he hasn't visited since Lena's funeral, showing that he hasn't been able to face the silence with her gone and is struggling to move on, which doesn't stop at Aiden, because as he walks into the backyard, we get introduced to Nikki and Jackson, and after a brief sibling reunion, we learn that Jackson is seeing a therapist slash child psychologist for his PTSD from the crash and unfortunate death of his sister, which led him to not talking to anybody but his mum. But that doesn't stop Jackson from giving Aiden a hug, and off the bat we can see how awkward Aiden is with this interaction, as he's so disconnected from his family that he cares about deeply, protecting them in ways that they have no idea about, but struggles to show his love and protection in the most simple ways.
You and Jax are the most important people in my life.
Their bond is quite sweet, and I sympathize with the both of them, as they didn't have the greatest childhood due to their abusive father and having to leave their home in Belfast to move to the US with their mother. After some more conversation reminiscing on the past, finding out that children have made up a game about yours truly, the vigilante, and taking a look in Jackson's room. Oh my god, look, it's Raven Rabbids and Assassin's Creed! Sorry, I need to calm down, but I love it when they put their other game IPs in games. It just tickles the right spot. Nikki receives a prank call by an unknown caller, so we hack her phone and listen in. It turns out the caller is sending some concerning and harsh threats that clearly send Nikki into a panic and scares her, even if she doesn't admit it to Aiden, and of course Aiden wants to help.
Aiden, God, you have not changed at all. We do not need your help. Please stop trying to fix our problems. Every time you try, you just make things worse.
Nikki isn't wrong here, as whilst her and Jackson are trying to heal and move on with their lives after Lena's death, Aiden is still caught up trying to avenge her and keeping away from his family to quote protect them, instead of trying to move forward and helping his family by just simply being there for them, which of course would be better, but he chooses to make things worse for both Nikki and Jackson. And you'll come to see that the further Aiden goes down this path. And does he feel remorse and guilt for that? No, not really. After leaving, we track down the caller and chase after him, but on the way Nikki calls Aiden and apologizes for the way she spoke to him and asks him to go back to resolve their issues, but quickly realizes that he's chasing after the caller, again seeing that he hasn't changed in the slightest, trying to be the hero and bringing his family back into this world that he's stuck in. And of course, Aiden being the master manipulator that he is, he pretends that the caller is breaking up, and we continue to chase after the caller, taking him down. And as you can see, I use justiceable force on the caller, but you have the option to straight up kill him without being penalized, which further shows his unwillingness to let things go or even use non-lethal force. After hacking the caller's phone and finding out that someone paid him to scare Nikki, Aiden contacts Bad Boy 17 for some help with tracing the call to the guy who hired the prank caller, and it turns out that it came from somewhere in the Loop district, and the new CTOS center that Bloom is building is the perfect place to hack the CTOS inside the Loop. But Bad Boy 17 has some bad news, as DedSec tried to attack the center and failed, but of course it isn't going to be as difficult for Mr. Aiden Pearce over here. Speaking of Bloom, that's the company that created CTOS, and if you couldn't already tell, they are beyond corrupt and use CTOS as a form of control and manipulation, making deals with the Chicago South Club, appointing militia and giving them access to the system, even being associated with the Templars from the AC franchise. Yeah, Ubisoft intended for these universes to cross over, even having an Assassin's Creed DLC in the third game. Considering that the center is going to be well guarded as Bloom hires private security contractors to protect their centers, Aiden gears up to storm the CTOS center in the loop at a local gun store. But first, we start our very first fixer contracts, which are random contracts by fixers for the player to complete that involve various vehicle activities such as driving free vehicles to drop-off locations, racing through checkpoints, escaping cops or the club, and finally following a target while stealing data and taking them out. I mean, the entire idea of fixer contracts doesn't necessarily make sense from a story standpoint, as Aiden is supposed to be this anti-hero and by taking out fixer contracts is actively working as a mercenary and criminal, still being involved in Chicago's criminal underworld, which is something you'd think he'd move on from, but shows he's willing to do pretty much anything for some form of profit. Speaking of profit, if you complete a certain number of activities within Watch Dogs, you gain rewards like guns or vehicles, making them matter somewhat outside of just getting an achievement for your Steam profile. After obtaining a brand new 416 assault rifle from the gun store, we arrive at the CTOS center and proceed to infiltrate the area, taking out the guards with our hacking skills along the way. One thing that I will praise Watch Dogs for is the ability to approach any situation in whatever way you want to. If you want to stealth, you can. If you want to go guns blazing, then so be it. There's no limit to your approach, but if I'm being honest, you're going to be in stealth mode the majority of the time as you unlock a silenced pistol early on in the game that is beyond overpowered. I know a silenced pistol is supposed to be silent, but you'd think missing a shot would alert a guard to your location or even killing somebody in front of them point blank would raise red flags, but no. You can easily breeze through an entire area with the silenced weapons in this game, and it's beyond fun. Like, seriously, it's so fun. I usually hate stealthing games that don't require you to take that route, but in Watch Dogs, it's more fun than the actual gunfights. Not to say the gunfights are bad, as the gunplay in this game is simple yet effective, but stealth just makes this game go from a 7 to a 9. Anyways, after hacking the access code from a guard, we use the access code to reach the servers, which involves playing a short hacking minigame, which is simple enough. They do get more complex the further you get into the story, but it always remains the same gameplay loop and never changes beyond putting a timer on different nodes before it kicks you out. It feels good to finally live my dream as a hacker, spinning nodes and completing puzzles. Like, this is definitely what they do. After hacking into the CTOS in the loop, we gain access to take on the various CTOS towers in the area, which reveal collectibles and unlock fast travel hideouts once they're dealt with, similar to the viewpoints in Assassin's Creed and the radio towers in Far Cry 3. And as you would expect, they're insanely tedious, but definitely worth it in the long run, especially if you're trying to do everything Watch Dogs has to offer. But the CTOS centers are the most important to take on, as you won't be able to hack phones or use the profiler in specific districts if you don't gain access to the CTOS in that area. Oh look, it's Slenderman. Whilst Bad Boy 17 continues to track our caller, we receive a call from Jordy stating that one of his clients needs a driver, and considering Aiden is the best driver in Chicago and Jordy is helping out with Enryece, we help Mr. Jordy out. But first, we take on a nearby gang hideout, which is yet another activity that you can engage in, where you take over a gang hideout. Pretty self-explanatory, and definitely one of the hardest activities introduced in this game. No, like seriously, I kept dying way too many times. With a couple gang hideouts taken care of, we head to the next mission location, which is essentially a tutorial mission for the multiplayer mode that doesn't even work, considering that the Ubisoft servers are 6 feet under. Maybe they work on consoles, but on good old Steam, yeah, they're beyond dead, which is pretty annoying, as I remember thoroughly enjoying the multiplayer aspect of Watch Dogs, stalking random players and such. It was a blast, and it's a huge shame that Ubisoft decided to kill the servers. Here's hoping that the Watch Dogs 2 servers are active for the inevitable Watch Dogs 2 video. If they're not, then I'm definitely jumping out of my window. Now it's time to deal with Jordy's driving contract. Whilst avoiding the CTOS scans searching for the fugitive, we head to his location and meet up with him.
No. My rule's your car. That's the job.
Using the fugitive's piece of shit car, we escape the lockdown area without alerting the police and drop him off at the location for his meeting, and it turns out it's a meeting with the Chicago South Club boss himself, Lucky Quinn. Yep, he ain't surviving this meeting as he didn't do a great job with his assignment, and Quinn isn't impressed in the slightest.
Get a chance to talk to your mama?
You already know where this is heading. After taking out the fugitive, Quinn has a brief moment with Aiden, but Aiden knows better than to mess with the guy who rules the criminal underworld in Chicago, and says not a single word back to him other than a slight nod, driving away and reflecting on the decision he could have made in that moment, which is to kill Quinn. But of course, that would be a huge mistake, as it wouldn't end well for both him and his family, as Quinn has every dangerous figure you can think of in the city on his side. Aiden is a complete badass, but he knows not to dig himself into a bigger hole than he already has. He is not that stupid. Moments later, Aiden has a phone conversation with Jordy, complaining about giving him the job as he doesn't want to work with the club. But after Jordy states that he has a guy that could have more driving gigs for him, he instantly accepts it, saying, quote, "Give him my name." Like, what? So you don't want these type of jobs for the club, but are willing to do the exact same jobs for other people just for a bit of cash? This is where Aiden's morality dilemma shines through. Is he a good guy doing bad things? Or is he a bad guy trying to do what he believes is right, but is ultimately flawed beyond repair? It definitely ties into the reputation system that this game has, where you can do bad things and become a menace, or do good things, and by doing good things, it's literally completing story missions and performing non-lethal takedowns, becoming a, quote, vigilante. But either way, there's not much of a difference other than the way the citizens of Chicago view Aiden Pearce, either turning a blind eye to his actions if he has a good reputation, or calling the cops on sight if he has a bad reputation. Even though in the majority of his gunfights, innocent people are always caught in the crossfire and rarely saves anyone, bar from when you can occasionally drag people out of their cars, because ultimately Aiden doesn't care about collateral damage. He just wants the man who caused his niece's death, but some citizens view it as someone who's taking down the big bad guy and trying to save the city, not knowing his true character. I guess many would say he's mentally and psychologically unstable. Anyways, Aiden receives a call from Bad Boy 17 asking to meet in person for the first time, so we head to their location.
Bad boy.
What?
Bad boy.
17. What the fuck, man?
At this point, many would expect a Discord mod or something along those lines to walk out of the shadows, but no. It turns out that the whole Bad Boy 17 username is a front to hide her true identity, a woman named Clara, tattooist by day and dead set hacker by night. I mean, it's no surprise considering earlier on in the game, Aiden compared her to his sister, slightly foreshadowing this reveal, but either way, Aiden is beyond frustrated and paranoid, as this is the first time he hasn't been able to read someone, as he didn't expect Bad Boy 17 to not be a man.
I hope I don't frighten you.
What, do you have a reason to frighten me?
Now you're being paranoid.
Am I? Someone is fucking with my life, threatening my family, and at the same moment, the mysterious bad boy wants to meet me, and he is a she. He is a lie. Listen, I need to trust you, Clara.
Casually assaulting a woman in the street is definitely going to go down well with your vigilante credibility, but it further shows his intimidation tactics that he uses to have control over every situation, and Clara is clearly not buying it, not being intimidated in the slightest, and actually supplies him with something useful. DedSec system hacks that she stole, which will help track the caller easy peasy. God knows why she's helping Aiden so much, but I guess we'll find that out later down the line.
You're not quite what I expected.
And you're exactly as I expected, Aiden.
This scene right here is important, as Clara can see right through him, knowing he's using this intimidating and emotionless demeanor as a front to read others, like he's playing a card game, never letting his guard down, as he always has to be the one in control in every interaction. After gaining access to some brand new hacking abilities courtesy of DedSec, we head over to the CTOS executive offices, as by hacking into the system there, it will pinpoint a location on the caller. So after infiltrating the offices, giving Clara access to their system and escaping the area, she works her magic and traces the call to an apartment inside the loop. And Clara assumes whoever the caller is, he wants Aiden to find him, and she couldn't be more spot on, as Aiden hacks the building network and investigates said apartment, finding notes on the wall that reads Bellwether, which is a behavioral prediction system integrated in the CTOS that is used to manipulate public behavior, election results, and events, which is very, very similar to algorithms we have in the real world today, making Watch Dogs very accurate to our everyday lives. So clearly whoever owns this apartment is obsessed with the bellwether system. Moments later, after hacking a phone in the apartment, we find out that it's in fact Damien, Aiden's old partner, who was the caller and has used this game of cat and mouse to see if Aiden still has the skill he once did. So after receiving the location to meet up with Damien after the botched Murloc job, we head out and eliminate a couple of fixers along the way, meeting up with Damien for the first time in a while. Just like Aiden, he suffered from the Murloc job, but unlike Aiden, he had no family, so instead, he had his leg broken, making him crippled for the rest of his life. Which was his own fault, to be honest, but still chooses to blame Aiden as a way of coping, I assume, or just downright ignorance. And you could say he might be an alcoholic too, as he brought a bottle of champagne to the conversation, and the fact that only an alcoholic would wear a beanie and rock facial hair like that.
You're not the only one suffering. They made me a cripple. They took everything from me. Don't you see? That's what binds us together.
Scaring Nikki and leading Aiden down this rabbit hole wasn't for nothing though, as Damien also informs Aiden that there was another hacker at the Murloc job, but of course he's uninterested as he's more focused on finding out who ordered the hit and doesn't want to work with Damien ever again, considering he's a major reason why the Murloc job failed, as he was being reckless, which of course led to the death of Lena. But you could argue that if Aiden wasn't a thief or a criminal, she would have lived. But it's quite a sad turnout for Damien, as he used to be somewhat respectable, as Aiden actually looked up to him and they learned practically everything they know from each other, which is why Aiden is evidently more vulnerable around Damien, with Damien knowing what buttons to press and how to read through Aiden's intimidating exterior. Despite not wanting to work with him, Aiden still needs the info he has on the second hacker and the Murloc job, as any lead is a good lead. But for now, Aiden takes on the criminal convoy, which is another activity you can engage in within the open world. It's pretty simple, just eliminate the target before they reach their destination, but I will admit, it can get pretty hairy as some of the harder criminal convoy activities, to the point where you'll probably smash a controller into tiny pieces. Well, that's what I did anyway. One thing I did forget to mention is the focus ability, where Aiden slows down time for a short period, allowing you to take out multiple enemies in quick succession, which helps tremendously in these criminal convoy activities, also being used to slow down time whilst driving too. But this isn't just an ability, but a representation of his heightened adrenaline, insane skills and reflexes, and this is amplified through his usage of pills, which boosts the focus ability. And I'm not sure if that part is written into the canon, but could definitely explain his mental instability if he's consistently popping pills to improve his hyper awareness. And not only that, but there's a drinking game activity that's pretty much a glorified QuickTime event, and a fun one at that. But I think it's safe to assume Aiden indulges in the adult juice box from time to time, which again doesn't help with his overall mentality. Anyways, we head over to Lena's grave to reminisce, and we witness a flashback with Aiden and his sister as they visit Lena's grave, finding flowers from an unknown person, and we get more insight on how badly Nikki wants Aiden to stop his crusade, as he'll be putting both his sister and nephew in more danger, even threatening Aiden that she will keep Jackson away from him.
I know what you're doing. I know you're chasing after the people that did this. When you do that, you put us all in danger again.
You are not in danger, because I protect you.
Do you hear yourself? Aiden, why can't you stop?
Because... I need to know.
In response, we see that Aiden blames himself for her death, showing us a big reason why he can't let it go, because he feels he has to resolve his wrongs by tracking down the mastermind behind the hit, but refusing to accept the fact that she's gone and nothing will bring her back, and should just walk away to protect the only family he has left. I mean, he could have stopped at the shooter, but that's not enough for Aiden, breaking the promise that he gave his sister at the grave. There's also random memory locations here and there, just like this one, that replay cutscenes we've already seen, which makes no sense to me. I guess it's Aiden remembering those moments at different locations, but I wish we got to see something different, as it makes these random memory points really pointless. Moments later, we get a call from Jordy stating that someone from the stadium survived and could ID Aiden if he talks, adding another problem to the long list of problems. So of course, we head out to meet up with Jordy at Gorman Heights. But first, we gamble on some slot machines and lose the majority of our pennies, just like real life. Damn, this game is immersive. After gambling my life away, we meet up with Jordy, and as always, he's in the middle of doing something deplorable.
Oh, fuck.
Jordi goes on to explain the situation at hand, which is not what we came here for, as I assume he only tied up the lovely couple because they lived there, making them a problem for Jordi's vantage point, or maybe it was because he just can and will do anything he wants to. I really would not want to be in the same room with this guy. Oh yeah, and we hear about his cosplay as a pizza guy.
It's not the pizza guy.
I actually admire his lightheartedness and overall vibe of not taking anything seriously outside of his personal contracts, and how you can visibly see how frustrated Aiden gets with Jordi. It's fairly entertaining to watch. Of course, Aiden isn't impressed and presses Jordi to explain exactly what's going on regarding the survivor slash potential snitch. So pretty much it turns out that the survivor is currently in prison, but it's not the cops that are wanting to make him talk, it's the Chicago South Club. Of course it is. They can't help but get a finger in the pie every time, and obviously this is a huge problem for Aiden, as if he gets ID'd, there will be more enemies on his back. But Aiden is in luck, as the fixer boss associated with the people who will eventually try to move the suspect for interrogation is nearby. Whilst Jordi tries, and I mean tries, to cover us with his sniper because he practically did fuck all in my playthrough. Cheers, I guess. We infiltrate the rail yard, take out a couple of fixer goons, and reach the fixer boss, Lance Brenner, before he can escape. Thank you, Jordi, for that clean leg shot. Again, we witness Aiden's intimidation tactics, using the information of Lance's family and his dirty money to convince him to give over the guy who's assigned a prison job in a cold, calm, calculated way. Which of course works, as Lance gives the name of the guy running the job, Angelo Tucci.
It's too late, you'll never find him.
Who says I want him? Bet he's got a family in town.
Why do you want his family? The fuck is wrong with you?
I wouldn't know where to begin.
For someone who prides himself to be a family protector, he's more than hypocritical when he too is the one threatening and getting others' families involved, showing he is only truly out for himself and his crusade, going against any moral code at all, knowing firsthand what happens and how family members can get indirectly killed if involved in any way. And when a fixer boss is even shocked at the idea of you using the family to get to someone, that's how you know you have issues. With Clara's help, we find the location of Angelo Tucci's niece pretty easily, I might add, as her digital footprint is quite vast, as are most people's nowadays, and it turns out she's having a meeting outside the Willis Tower. So we head over there and locate Angelo's niece. Once she's located, we hack her phone and Aiden poses as a doctor to find information on her uncle, and of course she doesn't give up anything, but it's all just to trick her into calling her uncle to find his location by tracking the call, being 5 steps ahead. So Aiden doesn't necessarily hurt others' family members, but uses them to his advantage. Also, why the hell is there a picture of T-Bone, another character we are yet to meet? Pretty weird if I do say so myself. With Angelo's location in hand, we take him out before he reaches the prison. Easy stuff. Overall, this mission is fairly simple, as it's literally another criminal convoy. I guess they had to slide that one in there for whoever doesn't engage in the side activities or something, I don't know. After taking down Angelo Tucci with ease, Aiden calls up Jordi to assist him in going to prison. And of course, Jordi is more than happy to help by pulling some strings and having Aiden's phone smuggled into prison after he breaks in. But first, it's time to do a little privacy invasion, but one that's specifically a reference to Breaking Bad. There's many of these privacy invasions around Chicago, which if you think about it, is pretty creepy from Aiden, and kind of shows he's abusing the CTOS as much as anybody else. But I'll admit, it's interesting to peep into people's lives from their webcam. Wait, that came out really wrong. Anyways, back to the prison break-in. Aiden does what any normal person trying to break into prison does. Now under the name Joe Smith on the police record, Aiden uses his phone to hack cameras and make his way through the prison. Another stealth section, yay, my favorite. After identifying the stadium survivor in the prison courtyard being taken away by corrupt prison guards, we head down to the basement where they've taken the survivor and we proceed to eliminate every corrupt cop in sight. So we get introduced to a new enemy type, the Enforcer, who are big beefy juggernauts, but they only look scary and are actually pretty easy to take down, especially if you have a shotgun handy. So after pumping about 50 shotgun shells into the Enforcer, Aiden confronts the survivor and scares him into not snitching in the most Aiden way possible.
What does that say?
60 years? What are you doing, man?
I'm just showing you an alternate future. You know, in case you get the urge to share your stories or make a deal with the cops. We're clear, right?
Imagine someone breaking into prison just to threaten you to give you 60 years in prison if you don't keep your mouth shut. I'd literally be shitting my pants. And it further proves Aiden knows what buttons to press for different people and different situations. With the survivor definitely not IDing Aiden anytime soon, we receive our gear from Mr. Jordy himself and escape the prison and waves of the Chicago police force, but trust me, escaping the police in Watch Dogs is no easy feat as they're relentless and can catch up to you in seconds, but it's fairly balanced as you have the hacking abilities to take out incoming police with one click of the X button until your battery runs out, and if that's the case, good luck. A funny detail that many players probably missed is that on the news after this mission, a real Joe Smith gets arrested and falsely accused for what Aiden did. Absolutely hilarious that Ubisoft decided to add that small detail. After escaping prison, we call up Damien to ask him about what he knows about the second hacker, but of course, he wants to meet in person, clearly wanting the upper hand in the situation. Even if it's just a simple meeting, and knowing Damien, there'll be a big reason why. But before that, we have two things to do. Firstly, we engage in another activity called CTOS Breach, where you hack a couple of boxes within the time limit. Yeah, that's it. That's all you do. How is this an activity? I have no idea. Secondly, we scan a couple of DedSec QR codes around Chicago that they left around for some weird reason. And after scanning the last QR code, we receive a call from DedSec themselves stating that they want to test a hacker named Giggles for his initiation into DedSec by challenging Aiden to break through his defenses and plant a virus into his computer. How will Aiden do this, you might ask? Well, by engaging in yet another hacking minigame, but one of the most complex ones yet. I seriously can't get enough of these minigames. They're amazing. That's a joke, by the way. I hate my life. Now that Giggles has been defeated and rejected from DedSec, we head over to the location Damien provided and meet up with him, but because Aiden refused to work with him the first time and Damien wants him to play ball, it turns out he's in Nikki's house and it's not for a late night booty call. So with no time left to lose, we drive over to Nikki's house and confront Damien, who is beyond calm for a guy that's about to be slapped up. Despite Aiden being moments away from ending Damien's pathetic life, he can't just take Damien out, as if he does, Nikki will too be done for. So Aiden has no choice but to work with his old partner and mentor, proving how badly Aiden needed to just let things go, because once again, he's put his family in danger. But it's not just Nikki, as after Damien gives Aiden a hard drive that will point him to the computer belonging to the other hacker back at the Murloc job, which will in turn lead into the guy who ordered the hit, it turns out that fixers are after his nephew too as more leverage. So Aiden tracks Jackson's iPad and heads to his location at the train station, eliminating the fixers and saving Jackson. Instead of comforting his nephew, he instantly starts questioning him if he knows anything in the most polite way that he can. But to Aiden's defense, he is trying to save his sister after all. After Aiden calls Jackson's therapist to meet them at the train station, Jackson actually comes in clutch and uses his godly drawing skills to draw something he overheard the fixers say to give Aiden a lead on where his sister might be. Despite being selectively silent, Jackson has his heart in the right place, and it's quite sweet seeing him be helpful to his uncle in the best way that he can be. Meeting up with Jackson's therapist, Aiden asks her if his nephew could stay with her for a few days, and Aiden uses Nikki's grief over Lena's death as a cover-up for the situation at hand, which is beyond messed up for a lie, as there's numerous other excuses he could have came up with, but it shows that Lena's death, grief and pain are at the forefront of his mind 24/7.
How bad is it?
It's bad.
Of course, Yolanda agrees to taking care of Jackson just to help out the family, and Aiden gets to work on finding his sister before anybody starts getting suspicious of her being missing. After buying some crafting components for some reason, I guess to craft things maybe, Aiden uses Jackson's lead to find some information on where his sister is located, searching for the name Racine, identifying Robert Racine, who is an associate of Damien. So with that pretty good lead, we head to Robert Racine's yachts in the Brandon docks and make our way through the compound, heading inside Racine's office, where we access a camera to listen in on Racine's conversation with Damien. It turns out he is the one who kidnapped Nikki for Damien, and Damien never told him to go after Jackson, wishing him luck before they end the call, as he's yet to meet the wrath of Aiden Pearce. We chase after Racine and kill him in cold blood, eliminating the guy who kidnapped our beloved sister. Moments later, Aiden calls Damien, demanding he talk to his sister, but he's not the one in control anymore. Damien is, and he has no choice but to play along with his game, to do what he says and follow the IP address. address. So he does just that, and we head back to our hideout at the motel to attempt to track the IP address using the hard drive from Damien, but in the midst of searching amongst the files and coming across a corrupted video of a woman, Clara startles Aiden, nearly mistaking her as an intruder, showing how paranoid and on edge he is right now, even forgetting that he himself asked to meet with her. Either way, Aiden needs Clara's help with the corrupted video, and she states that it isn't fixable and he needs the original, leading Aiden to just shout a ton of information at Clara, visibly panicking due to his sister being kidnapped.
He took her, Clara. He's using my sister as collateral.
This makes Clara act super weird and suspicious, either trying to leave, but before she gets the chance, Aiden realizes he's being ambushed, so with no choice left, Aiden orders Clara to grab the drive and detonates his motel room, leaving no evidence behind for anyone to use against him. After saving Clara with one clean shot, we proceed to defend her from waves of the enemy attackers, considering she has no skill when it comes to weaponry and is only a behind the computer hacker, making her both a liability and a vital asset. Once the attackers are dealt with and Clara escapes, we get a call from Damien, but this time we get to talk to Nikki, hearing how terrified she is as anyone would be. Aiden reassures her that Jackson is safe, but proceeds to let her know he knows Damien and that she'll be okay, which doesn't help the situation at all, triggering her into a flood of tears as her biggest fear has come true, her own big brother putting them in danger once again. Considering Aiden's hideout is out of the picture, he needs a new hideout to continue his search, and lucky for him, Clara knows the perfect location, the bunker, a myth, an urban legend amongst the people of Chicago, the first test site for CTOS, and a place where Aiden can hide in plain sight. But before they uncover this myth, Clara needs to know if she can trust Aiden.
You know what? I don't have time to soothe you, Clara. If you don't trust me, there's nothing I can do. Someone shot up my motel room. My sister's gone, and I have nothing. You are not my priority right now.
No, I know that. Of course.
I love how he just decides to play the victim here when pretty much everything he listed is his fault, and doesn't have any concern for Clara when she's the one wrapped into his world just because she's trying to help him. Despite the constant clashing with one another due to Aiden's inability to work with others, they continue to work together and find access to the bunker, starting with hacking a nearby camera, which reveals a homeless man by the name of Tobias Frewer, who was a Bloom Corporation engineer before he was fired and became homeless, activating the bridge to the bunker island with a remote. He also assisted in building the CTOS system we know today, believe it or not. So knowing that Tobias has the key to the bridge, we head to the nearby homeless camp alongside Clara to find Tobias at his underground shop where he builds things and sells rare crafting components for a price. Eventually we reach the shop, but he's nowhere to be seen. So we put our hacking skills to use and hack a nearby homeless man's phone to trace a call back to Tobias, and it turns out he's at a poker game, but unfortunately a fixer had the same idea and is also after Tobias. So before we head to the poker match, we take out the fixer, easy stuff. He won't be playing poker anytime soon. With that dealt with, we head to the illegal poker match and play a bit of poker whilst questioning Tobias, but he takes his chances and tries to escape in the midst of the game. Fun fact, she could actually play poker in the open world and cheat using cameras, which is exactly what Aiden would do whilst playing poker. Anyways, little does Tobias know, Aiden is a master in free running parkour, so we chase after him and catch up to him in mere seconds. After disarming the ex-Bloom employee, Aiden questions him about the bunker and uses his signature manipulation skills to have Tobias hand over the remote.
Tobias, may I have the bridge remote? Please?
I built it, you know, the remote.
Yeah,
That's what I do, I build.
that's great. Let me have it.
Yeah, fine. Sure. Yeah, you take it.
Great.
Yeah, it's your funeral.
The way Aiden talks in this scene honestly sends shivers down my spine. Him just manipulating a guy who is already in a dark place and is most definitely high off medication just creeps me out. Despite getting chased down, Tobias offers Aiden to stop by his shop sometime, which is more than a nice gesture, and I'll definitely be purchasing a few items when I get the chance. Moments later, Jordy informs us that Enryece is finally speaking up and has volunteered the location, and if we want answers, we'll have to follow his trail, which are a bunch bunch of burner phones scattered around Chicago left by Maurice that gives us insight on his events leading up to the hit on Aiden. After listening to all the voice recordings of the burner phones, we learn that Maurice is no different from Aiden. Actually, he's more of a saint than Aiden is, as he wanted out from the criminal life to leave with his wife, but was forced into doing jobs otherwise his wife would have been killed. Taking us to the Aiden hit that was supposed to be his last job for the unknown gang affiliates, but as he approached the car, he saw Lena and got cold feet. So instead of killing Aiden, he shot the tires in hopes of them crashing and getting the message without anyone getting killed, but unfortunately, Lena died in the crash, which haunts him day in and day out, hating himself for it. And not just that, his wife was taken and put up for auction in a human trafficking ring, being left with nothing, no purpose to move forward, completely broken beyond repair, and consumed by the guilt of indirectly killing an innocent girl. But even after Aiden finds out this information, he has no remorse whatsoever, even stating that it doesn't change what he did. He also doesn't let Maurice go. He keeps him kidnapped till he completes his path of revenge, consumed by hatred and being blind to the fact Maurice had no intentions of killing Lena and had problems of his own, even having his own wife taken. Maurice's story is truly tragic, and I feel more for him than Aiden himself. With the remote in hand, we head back to the bridge and activate it using the remote to gain access to the island contained in the bunker, but of course, we need to restore the power, so we activate various generators around the island. The music that plays in the background in this section feels like hope, like Aiden is finally discovering something that will help for the first time. And speaking of music, the original soundtrack in this game is beautiful, which is a massive reason on why I purchased the LP, but the licensed tracks on the other hand, yeah, they're not really my style of music, and I found myself turning off the music in this game whilst driving around Chicago, which is something I've never done in a video game up to this point. With the generators up and running, we finally gain access to the bunker that has long been abandoned, working as the perfect base of operations and a blind spot where Aiden can't be located, having undetected access to the entire city, meeting up with Clara as she attempts to get the systems online and track the IP address.
This is a secure site. By design, it's untraceable, unhackable.
Yet here we are about the hacking.
Hilarious, Aiden, just hilarious. Luckily, Clara manages to track the IP address to the Rossi Fremont, an apartment complex run by the Black Viceroy's gang, with their leader being an ex-military veteran called Iraq, who has had enough of being Lucky Quinn's lapdog, wanted to be the one pulling the strings in Chicago as he brought the Viceroys up from nothing to a feared and powerful gang affiliated with the club. And of course, the place is completely off the grid, which is a huge problem. So Aiden fixes that problem by headed to the Viceroy territory to connect with the source directly, whilst Clara sets up the bunker and does some spring cleaning. After disabling all 3 security terminals at the apartment complex and unlocking their nearby CTOS tower, we connect to their systems and are able to look into Rossi Fremont with ease. But as Aiden explains to Clara that he needs to find a way inside and find out every person involved with Lena's death and make them pay for it, she seems somewhat scared over the phone, even tripping over her words, clearly hiding something from Aiden. Before Aiden peeks inside Rossi Fremont to track the exact source of Damien's IP address, we receive a call from Tobias of all people, explaining that the police are putting more guns on the streets, selling crates of them, starting another investigation where we track down various weapon crates, and when we track the final crate, Tobias contacts us to inform Aiden that the GPS devices inside the guns link them to several crime scenes and has located a warehouse filled to the brim with fixers responsible for around 70% of the unsolved crimes in Chicago. So we quickly head over there and take out a ton of fixers, and I mean a fuck ton of them. After they're dealt with, Aiden orders Tobias to lose his number, never being in contact with each other ever again. But at least he helped bring some criminals to justice, even though the cops themselves were selling guns to them. We also play chess and grab some coffee at a nearby cafe. I swear down, this is one of the first games I've seen where you could buy a coffee from a cafe and play chess at the same time. Phenomenal. Just phenomenal. Now that's dealt with, we head back to the bunker to connect remotely to Rossi Fremont and witness Clara attempting to put down the flags and leave.
Okay, look, I understand if you're scared.
I'm not scared. No one asked me to stay.
Well, no one asked you to leave.
You'll need to do better than that.
I could use some help. I could use your help.
Like a team.
Aiden is clearly incapable of asking for help, not being able to be vulnerable even for a second, leading to this somewhat awkward moment of him trying to admit he needs help moving forward, specifically Clara's help. Now that the duo are an official team, I guess, we connected to Rossi Fremont and snoop around the complex to locate the source of the IP, which is practically a huge fortress with tons of security, and oh my god, is that Far Cry Blood Dragon? After following a trail of cameras, we finally reached the door leading to the source of the IP address, but unfortunately, the room is locked tight by a card reader, giving us no access to the room for now. But seconds later, enryece himself leaves the room, and Aiden notices the dog tag he's wearing contains the key, so some way, somehow, we need to get close to him. We then see firsthand on how ruthless the ex-military veteran enryece is, and why we should be extra careful coming against him, as he threatens his cousin Bedbug for failing and costing him business. Even receiving a call from Lucky Quinn stating that enryece stole his guest list, threatening enryece, but of course he isn't scared, and finally, after one of his goons simply translates a word that Quinn said, enryece loses his cool, showing exactly why he shouldn't be messed with, along with his military training, tactical skills, and advanced training in martial arts from his time in the army, fighting in the Iraq War. Considering how timid Bedbug clearly is around his cousin enryece, showing he can easily be intimidated, manipulated, and toyed around with, Aiden sees him as an opportunity to get into the locked room by getting some blackmail on him so he cooperates. It's impressive on how quickly Aiden can spot the flaws in others and knows exactly how to play them to his benefit. But before we head to Bedbug's address, we witness a nice little Assassin's Creed Easter egg.
Why is he doing that?
He's an assassin, Dad.
Well, I mean, why is he talking to the guy he just killed?
It's a confession?
Well, that's just dumb.
Dad, please. You're ruining it.
Moments later, Damien contacts Aiden for an update on his progress and allows Nikki to speak, and for some reason, she seems a bit too calm considering she's kidnapped. I assume that they have her locked up in a 5-star hotel or taking great care of her or something. I don't know. She even jokes with him over the phone, like, what? I guess it's because she knows it's Aiden's old friend who has her kidnapped, but I just find it really weird that she completely switched up from the last call the two had. Anyways, we head over to Bedbug's address and gain access to his home, witnessing a funny interaction between Bedbug and his grandma.
Work, Grandma, I got work.
No, you got a job now. Well, why you didn't
It's
tell
not
me?
like that, Grandma.
Oh, I see. It's not a job for Tyrone. It's a job for Bedbug.
Come on, Grandma.
Bedbug doesn't even mean anything.
Yeah, it does. It means I'm a player.
What?
A bed bug can get into any lady's bed.
That's disgusting. No, I raised you better than that.
After that gem of a conversation, we tail Bedbug to find some potential blackmail on him. Yay, a tailing mission, a Ubisoft special right there. As we tail Bedbug through Viceroy territory on foot in one of the most annoying tailing missions I've ever had the pleasure of playing through, we find out that he's actually been stealing enryce's cut of the money, and that he's adamant he'll be calling the shots soon, which is the perfect blackmail. But then we witness Bedbug's associate Rabbit feed him some very important information, which is that enryece is going to set him up and have him ambushed and killed if he can't prove himself, as I assume it's because Bedbug has been doing a bad job with the business, being lazy and careless. Unfortunately for Rabbit, Bedbug doesn't believe him despite clearly not liking enryece himself and goes to shoot him, but we save Rabbit just in time and guide him out of the area so we could get some info on where the ambush will be taking place. You wouldn't think Bedbug and enryece are cousins with how tense their relationship is, I swear. There's a few of these sections scattered throughout Watch Dogs and I hate them. Seriously, they're that bad. Mainly due to the annoying AI, but I really don't know who finds it fun escorting a character past enemies, making sure that they're undetected. It's just boring. With the location in hand, courtesy of Rabbit, we head to the ambush location and contact Geordie on the way for a favor of the explosive kind, and of course he provides.
This is what I have for you. It's a sticky bomb. See? It sticks. Cool, huh?
but also to tie up some loose ends too by having Aiden destroy an ice cream truck with a couple of bodies inside for a quote practice round. Very efficient and very much a Geordie thing. Every time Geordie is on screen, I seriously get excited on what extravagant thing he might do or say next. He's easily one of the best characters in Watch Dogs, I swear. After destroying the ice cream truck, we acquired the security footage for even more blackmail on Bedbug to use against him and prepare an ambush against the incoming viceroy sent by Iraq to take out Bedbug. Once he arrived, we go to town and absolutely slaughter them, saving Bedbug for our amazing plan of using him to our advantage. Moments later, we hack a nearby phone to trace a call and track Bedbug's location, and on the way, we take out our fleeing viceroy before he reports back to Iraq. Finally headed to Bedbug's location to give him a little blackmail treatment.
What you want?
You're gonna be my eyes and ears inside Rossi Fremont.
No, man. Iraq will kill me.
Yeah, what will he do when I send him everything I've got? You wanna see more?
No. Just erase this shit, please.
Well, you play along like a good little bug, and I will. I'll be in touch.
The fact that Aiden blasted this footage in public is diabolical. And just imagine if a Viceroy member was to walk past at that very moment. Bedbug would have been done for and Aiden would have lost his chance to gain access to that lockdown room at Rossi Fremont. Now with Bedbug willingly on board, we now need to gain access to the room so Bedbug can slip inside. So Aiden calls Bedbug and asks him how to get close to Iraq, considering his dog tag is the key to the room, and it turns out that he'll be at Lucky Quinn's invite-only auction. So now we're faced with another problem, getting an invite to said auction, but not to fret as Clara informs us that she's actually been tracking the briefcase that Iraq gave his goon a brand new facial reconstruction with that actually has the guest list inside. Considering this auction isn't your average auction and is very private and very discreet for the higher ups, we're forced to track the briefcase through various handoffs and follow it back to a marina, where we take a couple of flicks of the guest list and send it over to Clara for the perfect person for Aiden to roleplay as, and Clara finds someone, a European named Nicholas Crispin. Clara either gets thrown off by Aiden's calmness when asking if anyone will miss him, suggesting that you will take him out. I mean, anyone would be surprised like Clara, as the way Aiden says it shows how familiar and desensitized he is with killing. Anyways, we head to the car dealership where Crispin is acquiring a brand new purple vehicle that is unlike any car I've ever seen, and only a creep would be seen driving that thing. Take him out and hack his phone, where we learn from a voice recording that he's a pretty sick individual. It's implied that Crispin is a freak and likes doing not so nice things to women, and to ask for the quote Poppy special when he arrives at the Infinite 92 Club, which is some sort of gentleman's freak club, and his invitation is there waiting for him too. So we quickly head over to the club and introduce ourselves as Mr. Crispin, despite not having a European accent at all. I apologize, but there's graphic images in these upcoming parts that will sure as hell get my video taken down, so enjoy random gameplay instead. Unfortunately, as Aiden enters the room with a girl named Poppy, which was Crispin's quote gift, she attempts to take out Aiden, mistaking him for Crispin, and to be honest, I don't blame her, as Aiden fits the description of Crispin quite well, with his intimidating demeanor, but Poppy quickly realizes that he's a different person. Aiden then promises that he will save her and leaves with the invitation in hand, ready for the auction, and no, it's not an eBay auction, it's a sick, depraved auction. On the way to the auction, we call up Clara for a favor, to get Poppy out of Infinite 92 by role-playing as Crispin's assistant and have her delivered to Aiden at the auction, shortly arriving at the auction just in time.
Sorry, Mr. Crispin. We need your weapon.
Wouldn't want to be rude. Not a scratch.
Mr. Quinn said you like to see the raw merchandise.
I'd like to know what I'm paying for.
This section of the game easily has to be the most deplorable and disgusting part, as Watch Dogs doesn't shy away from showing the horrors of human trafficking. Like, seriously, I just wanted to shoot every single person in that auction. That's how angry it made me feel seeing it. Hearing the cries of women being sold to the highest bidder against their will, it was heart-wrenching to say the least. After walking through the auction and locating Iraq, we witness him having a short conversation with Quinn as he orders Iraq to find out who killed his men. After scanning enryece dog tags for the key to the door, we have a conversation with Lucky Quinn ourselves, which goes pretty smoothly, but I will admit, this scene is so tense as we can clearly see that Lucky Quinn has caught on that Aiden isn't who he claims he is. Even stating that experience has taught him not to be manipulated. Lies and deception may convince a lot of people, but not Quinn. I'm not too sure why he's allowing Aiden to live despite knowing he's trying to play him for a fool, but I guess Quinn is always 5 steps ahead, or he's just giving Aiden a chance to walk away. Either way, we say Poppy and get the hell out of there.
They don't trust you.
I know, I'm leaving. Come here. Closer. Tattoo.
It's a tracking device beneath the skin. It's also very efficient for business.
I can scramble its signal.
That's it?
Yeah.
After escaping the auction, taking out waves and waves and waves of enemies along the way, Aiden calls the police to report a shootout at the barrows, hoping that they'll stumble across the auction and stop it. But think about it, there's corrupt cops in the city, so for all Aiden knows, they could turn a blind eye to the auction once they arrive. But let's just pretend that the girls got saved by the goody two-shoes cops. Things don't stop there though, as seconds later, Yolanda calls Aiden to inform him that Jackson has ran away, so we track his iPad once again, thank God he's glued to that thing, and quickly head over to his location. It turns out he went out looking for his mum for some reason, which is one of the stupidest things you could do, because he's a literal child and couldn't do anything to help at all, but fair play for trying, I guess. But the worst thing is, he's not on a random train, no. He's not at a mate's house, no. He's not even at McDonald's, man. He's in the middle of a mob-owned building. Why? Because he followed the racing van he drew for us. This is why you don't have kids. I'm baffled on how he even got past half of these enemies, as there are a lot of them, and I mean a lot. But Aiden has no problem taking them all out, which is about to bite him on the ass as he locates Jackson, and we witness firsthand the consequences to his actions for his nephew. Despite literally traumatizing an already traumatized young child that's his own nephew, Aiden has one short moment of self-reflection but still continues on this path that's clearly tearing his family apart, not even acknowledging what he's actually done bar from a few words. Aiden never once learns throughout the story, which is very, very different from your usual protagonist, but does make his story very depressing. After dropping Jackson off at Yolanda's, she threatens to call the police if she doesn't hear from Nikki soon, so Aiden needs to get a move on and find the source of the IP address for Damien. But first, we have some loose ends from the auction, as there are a couple sick individuals from the auction still roaming around. So we shut down Quinn's auction for good by hacking all 10 briefcases around Chicago, identifying the other buyers and using the briefcase as evidence against them. Once the last buyer is identified, we locate the handler that's running the auction, Joseph DeMarco, and head to his location, but of course, he's being protected by corrupt cops, courtesy of Lucky Quinn. So we eliminate Joseph before he can be escorted to a safe house, finally shutting down Lucky Quinn's auction operations once and for all. Well, after one of the hardest police chases I've ever engaged in. With that out of the way, we can finally get back on track and get inside the room at Rossi Fremont with good old Bedbug. After leaving the audio recorder in the pub for Bedbug, we infiltrate Rossi Fremont and use the cameras to guide Bedbug through the complex in yet another annoying section. Like, seriously, man, I hate this with all my heart. As we guide Bedbug to the locked room, we find out that Bedbug is actually only 19 years old, but it doesn't stop Aiden from continuing the plan, as Aiden doesn't care that Bedbug is a literal 19-year-old and is manipulating him for his own benefit, not caring if he lives or dies. A 19-year-old, man, like, come on. Once Bedbug reaches the infamous locked room, we find out that the IP source is a huge server room, so Aiden starts transferring the files from said server, but unfortunately it's too late as Bedbug gets caught before Aiden can transfer the data, being left with a measly 24%.
Hey, bro, what's this shit? Look, it ain't what it look like. What it look like to you? Cause it look like a supersized fucking betrayal to me. How the fuck you even get in here? No, hold on. No, I love you, man. You know that. Who bought you, Quinn? No, don't wait, man. Don't you lie to me. No, don't you fucking lie to my face. This how you repay me for taking you in? Come on, cuz. Look, we family. You know it wasn't me. He made me do it. What the fuck? He's real close. No. Get down there, find that
I was beyond shocked when I saw that Bedbug was killed, but that plot point gets thrown out of the window moments later as Bedbug himself calls up Aiden, showing that he isn't dead but is very much alive. This is the only gripe I have with the story, as it doesn't make sense at all, due to the fact that earlier in the game Enryece was going to get Bedbug killed by ambushing him with Viceroy hitmen, and he clearly had enough of his cousin messing up his business, so realistically, he should have pushed him out the window at that point, especially as he caught him red-handed working against him, but decided to keep him alive because why? I have no clue, and I don't think anyone knows. Enryece is a man of mystery, I guess. But before we part ways with Bedbug one final time, he gives us some info he received from Enryece, which is that the girl in the corrupted video is Rose Washington, and that she's dead. Pretty inconspicuous and has no relevance just yet, but it's nice that Bedbug is helping a brother out after putting him in harm's way, because that's just what you do after someone literally nearly gets you killed. On to more important things, the partial data we received from Enryxe servers list a bunch of blackmail folders against literally everyone in the city, specifically the higher ups, and is most likely why the cops stay away from the viceroys, as there's even blackmail on the police chief. But the most important thing is that there's a folder from the Merlaw, which is exactly what Aiden needs, so we head back to the bunker and meet up with Claire after getting into another conversation with Damien, and of course he's not quite ready to let Nikki go as he needs us to decrypt the files, so we do just that. Well, not really, as we don't know anyone that has the hacker skills to decrypt, and we still need the rest of the data. We only have 24%.
If I can get this information, can you decrypt it?
No, it's way beyond my skill.
Then who then?
Raymond Kenny, that's who, a legend, one of the creators of the CTOS system, and the person skilled enough to decrypt the files for us, but unfortunately he's been in hiding for over a year due to him causing a blackout in 2003, which was a real event by the way, but in Watch Dogs the blackout ended up killing 11 people and still haunts him to this day, being nicknamed a Bloom whistleblower or cyber terrorist. Very intimidating indeed. So we have no choice but to follow a paper trail leading back to the legend for his help, starting with heading to his last known signal, and once we arrive there's a ton of fixers ready to greet us as Aiden alerted them by digging up Raymond's signal. After dealing with the fixers, we upload the data from an old computer to locate Raymond, but unfortunately as we wipe the hard drive after uploading the data, a couple of fixers hacked our system nearby, taking the lead on Raymond, so we quickly eliminate them before they could get to Raymond before us. Easy stuff. This guy better be a god walking amongst man the way everyone wants a piece of him. I swear the way the game gasses this guy up is insane, considering we're already playing an absolute badass named Aiden Pearce that has no morals. Anyways, it turns out that he's hiding in Pawnee, a small town outside the main city. Why no one thought to look there when he went off the grid, I have no idea. Pawnee itself is the complete opposite to the main city, being a more rundown, small, quiet town with wilderness, dirt roads, and a much less civilian population. Personally, I don't like this area at all, specifically due to the fact the roads frustrate me, especially when in a police chase. I truly like the main city a lot more because there are more opportunities to escape and take out enemies, and obviously the overall vibes of the city. But I do enjoy the variety that the map brings once Pawnee is added to the mix. Before we head over to Pawnee and continue the paper trail, we update Damien on our findings, and he isn't happy that we're involved in Raymond as he's a whistleblower, and will probably blast the blackmail from the files on the news, showing that Damien desperately wants the blackmail for himself, and of course Aiden is hesitant to hand it over when it's finally decrypted, despite it being the only way to keep Nikki alive and well. After reminiscing on the past with how Aiden used to take Lena and Jackson fishing in Pawnee, showing everywhere he goes he's haunted by his past, we hack a marina computer and infiltrate a nearby CTOS tower, which took me way longer than I like to admit, uncovering a phone recording from Raymond Kenny himself that leads us to Jebediah's bar. Finally, that wild goose chase is over and we confront Mr. Raymond Kenny, engaging in a drinking game, but this is to throw Aiden off his game and cripple his awareness so that Raymond could get the upper hand and knock him out, considering he's off the grid for a reason and many people want him dead. After getting his ass handed to him due to being crippled from the booze, Aiden comes to, but before T-Bone helps us, yeah, he goes by T-Bone now, truly one of the greatest names of all time. We need to help him. I never cared for T-Bone as a character, his humor isn't my cup of tea, and I never resonated with him in the main story, but I will admit I enjoyed his character so much more in the DLC, but we'll get to that later in the video. Anyways, Aiden needs to help him get into Chicago by doing a few jobs for him first, starting by stealing back his taco truck from the Pawnee militia after testing out his sculpture traps, which will come in handy later on. Why does he need the taco truck? Well, because it contains some of Bloom's hardware, believe it or not, and T-Bone explains that he actually didn't think Aiden could steal it back, maybe assuming that he would get killed in the process. I'm not sure. After dropping off the truck for T-Bone, he agrees to work with us, so now it's time to work on getting him back into society and over to the main city. But in the meantime, we follow a trail of victims killed at various locations in brutal ways, and put on show like some kind of disgusting art display, all whilst listening to the sick individual through a couple of voice recordings, getting an insight on the serial killer's fractured mind. I would be lying if I didn't say I felt fear coursing through my veins as I uncovered each and every body. Unfortunately, the mission that follows once we identify each and every body is beyond disappointing, as we locate the killer and just take him out like any random low-level enemy. No cutscene, nothing, all this build-up for a pretty shitty payoff in my opinion. But I guess that's one less killer on the streets of Chicago. We also engage in some AR phone games in the open world, starting with NVZN. And honestly, I don't know if I'm just good at this minigame, but this was piss easy to play and got boring very quickly. Literally, all you have to do is shoot the glowing aliens over and over again until your eyes bleed. But a more fun and enjoyable AR phone game to play is Cash Run, where you collect coins whilst free running to get the best time. Still not the best way to pass the time in Watch Dogs, but I appreciate the variety Ubisoft decided to add. Oh yeah, and I gambled my money once again, but this time by playing Guess Which Cup the Ball Is In, or Shell Game apparently it's called. I am very good at that one. I hope you can tell I'm super proud of myself for guessing where the ball is. With all that out of the way, we can finally focus on helping out our boy T-Bone. Before we can head into Bloom HQ to wipe T-Bone's biometrics and files off their system, we need security clearance, and lucky for us, Bloom is in town, so we tail a helicopter using a sexy dirt bike and take out 2 security chiefs, with the second one holding a nice Bloom ID for us to gain access to the HQ. With the security clearance in hand, we infiltrate Bloom HQ undetected with Watch Dogs' piss easy stealth and upload T-Bone's virus into the Bloom servers, wiping his biometrics and files from the system, giving him backdoor access to CTOS once again. But in a turn of events, we hear that Damien himself is in the building having a meeting with Bloom's director of public relations, and it turns out that Damien was playing us the entire time and wanted the blackmail we stole from Iraq to hand it over to Bloom along with Aiden and T-Bone for full access to CTOS. So considering Bloom now know where T-Bone is because of Damien, we race over to T-Bone's hideout and defend him from incoming militia forces in a battle to the death, all whilst rock music blasts in the background, making this one of the greatest missions this game has to offer. Once the militia are dealt with, T-Bone says goodbye to Pawnee and hello to Chicago.
For my portfolio. Go ahead.
Leaving downriver in a boat and meeting up with Clara at the bunker, and of course she starts fangirling over the legend that is Mr. T-Bone after Aiden introduces them.
Enchanté.
Moments later, T-Bone and Aiden get into a bit of a scuffle as T-Bone overhears Aiden talking to Clara about Damien working with Bloom, which of course he doesn't take kindly to as he had no idea. And Aiden is clearly just using him for his own motives, not even letting him know how his location was exposed in the first place, which was of course because of Damien. But luckily for us, T-Bone decides to work with us because of Clara's woman's touch. No, seriously, as when the cutscene ended, I heard a pretty interesting sound effect. It's either pure coincidence in my playthrough or I don't know, but either way, I could not stop laughing when that played through my speakers whilst recording. Whilst the 2 lovebirds work on the decryption, Aiden has had enough and decides to storm Rossi Fremont guns blazing. No, seriously, we murder our way through the entire complex to get the rest of the data, which is probably what we should have done in the first place and not put a literal 19-year-old in harm's way. Oh yeah, and Jordy provides useless sniper support again too. Cheers, Jordy, you're the best. One thing I did fail to mention about the enemies in Watch Dogs is the accurate grenade throwing that they possess, which forces you to leave cover if you stay in one position for more than 3 seconds, forcing you to move constantly, which would be fine in any other game, but in Watch Dogs, if you're constantly moving out of cover, you're pretty much gonna die. And to add the cherry on top, enemies love to rush after you like they're not up against the vigilante himself. Like they have big balls to do that. After storming our way through the complex, Aiden comes face to face with Iraq. Not as Crispin, but Aiden Pearce this time around.
Oh man, look at you. Crispin? No, wait. Pearce, right? This all you, Pearce? The auction?
Correct.
You the shit raining down on me? Cause I got a lot of shit raining down on me. Stop right there. I'm not about to let you get away with this. You've been fucking me up, snooping in my shit, right? Interfering with my plans.
Iraq, we're all dead.
It was you. You were the other hacker in the Merlot.
That there's my currency. My masterpiece. And you trying to take that from me.
You took something far more valuable from me.
I took from you. Motherfucker, I don't even know you.
Yeah, you heard that right. Iraq was the other hacker at the Merlot, trying to steal the data for himself, well, specifically the blackmail video for more control over the city, and obviously failed due to Aiden and Damien being there and interfering, but Iraq saying he doesn't even know Aiden speaks volumes, as he doesn't have any personal vendetta against Aiden, unlike how Aiden does with anyone and everyone involved with the Merlot job. It's just unfortunate how the series of events turned out, and Lena was caught in the crossfire. After a lengthy gunfight against Iraq's goons and Iraq himself, we take him out once and for all, putting an end to the Viceroys for now, but more importantly, retrieving 100% of the data from Iraq. Moments later, we receive a call from Damien, who asks to meet in person to take the data to him and no one else, but first, we head back to the bunker to finally decrypt and analyze the data taken from Iraq. Whilst the team analyzes the files, something unexpected happens.
Hey, what's this? Is this off the server?
Oh, hell! Somebody's trying to hack in. We'll lose everything. Shut him out.
We trace the hacker using the amazing hacking minigame to kill his access to the bunker and uncover his location, but unfortunately it's too late, as the hacker in question is Default, who dons a pretty cool mask, which kinda reminds me of deadmau5, even being a DJ himself too, and is leagues above many hackers in terms of skill in Chicago, and has planted a virus and wiped the data from their systems, keeping the data for himself, but also gives us a little parting gift, exposing Clara for who she is and finding out the truth.
Let me play.
It wasn't too difficult to find them. Two men. One's a hacker, the other a fixer, as far as I could tell. Never heard of them before.
I can't explain. I wanted to tell you.
Nice work. Names, please.
Are you planning to hurt them?
When has that ever bothered you? I trust the amount is satisfactory.
Damien Brinks and Aiden Pearce.
Aiden, someone's knocking.
So yeah, you heard that right. Clara was hired to track down Aiden and Damien, which led to, well, you already know the story. Clearly feeling guilty about it, considering the amount of times she wanted to back out and leave when something went wrong, but also wanted to help Aiden on his crusade. But Aiden doesn't care about that, because someone who he trusted is a person that was heavily involved in the hit, even launching her across the room to show that he's really angry. Anyways, whilst T-Bone reboots the backup tower as he had to shut the power down due to Default, we head out to store Damien as we have no data for now, but upon arrival, he's clearly tired of playing games. Well, both of them are.
See, that deal hinges on the hard drive. What are you gonna tell them if I give you nothing?
You're forgetting something. Your sister lives or dies in a phone call.
Then kill her.
You almost had me, Aiden.
You're not thinking it through, Damien. That deal has sealed your fate. If you kill Nikki, you get nothing from me. You think Bloom is gonna give you a pass? They're gonna send fixers to hunt you down. So right now, I'm the one who decides your fate. Get my sister on the phone.
We really are partners, Aiden. Like it or not. We need each other.
Aiden?
You okay? Are you alright?
I'm scared. Please tell me that Jackson is safe.
Yeah, he's okay. Look, Nikki,
I know. Just please don't let them...
You know something, Aiden? I'm tired of you not taking me seriously.
giving Aiden a warning by blasting Aiden all over Chicago and the local news, blowing his cover and cops start swarming in, forcing us to take out the fixer broadcasting the images in the news van and escaping the cops. Now that we're clear, we call up T-Bone for a favor, as the phone call with Nikki had a PA sound in the background, so with T-Bone's help, he'll be able to clean the audio and identify where she's located, being able to save Nikki and stop playing Damien's little game. In the meantime, we need the data back, so considering we tracked Default's location back at the bunker, T-Bone raids Default's safe house, but finds nothing other than some computer nerd's wet dream, and that Default is carrying the data on his person rather than storing it somewhere. So now we just need to find Default himself, which turns out to be pretty easy, as after we assist T-Bone, eliminating a few fixers allowing him to escape, Default sends us a cheeky text, and T-Bone informs us that Default's usual hangout spot is at a club called Dot Connection, where he performs as a part-time DJ, and a pretty dog shit one at that. So we head over to the club and instantly see the downgrade from the E3 demo. It's literally night and day. After playing some cat and mouse, get it? You know, he wears the rat mask, yeah? I am not funny, I know. Scanning everyone in the club to locate Default and getting taunted along the way with messages such as got his niece killed, which is pretty messed up. Oh yeah, and there is this QR code box head that you can actually scan in real life with your phone, which shows a message saying Bravo Ubisoft Montreal. Once we complete yet another hacking minigame, we finally locate Default. By the way, the binary code on his name translates to Ruffle. Hilarious, I know. Default tries to make his escape, but he underestimated Aiden's willingness and ruthlessness, and we chase after him, downloading the data whilst keeping up with him and finally taking him down. To be fair to him, he has a pretty cool car too, so I'll be taking that for myself, thank you very much. Moments later, Jordy calls us up and warns Aiden that there's a massive bounty on his head and to walk away, giving him a final chance to end this path he's walking on, but of course he ignores him as he's so close to the end, despite people literally wanting his head on the platter and should probably quit whilst he's ahead. But there's no stopping now, as T-Bone has pinpointed Nikki's location after cleaning up the audio, so we quickly head over there before Damien finds out that we know where Nikki is and escort her out, first by taking out a guard and letting her know that we're busting her out. Aiden also tells Nikki to pick up a nearby gun, which goes about as well as you would expect.
Aiden, I don't know guns.
After Nikki kills the poor guard, she feels remorse as any normal person would who has just killed another human being for the first time, but Aiden is clearly unbothered and is just focused on trying to get her out of there. I get that it isn't the time and place to comfort her, but to not say anything at all and being completely calm and collected whilst your sister is freaking out about hurting another human, which is something he does on a daily basis 100 times a day, is quite scary, showing that he has little empathy inside of him. Also, once again, screw the escort missions, man. I had to just go into the building myself and take out the fixers because of how annoying this section was. Anyways, after getting Nikki to safety, Damien calls us up and it turns out that he gave the Chicago police a big tip on the vigilante, just stirring the pot once again like he always does and making things 10 times difficult for us. So considering the police, fixers, and literally everyone are about to rain hell on us, Aiden has no choice but to get Nikki and Jackson out of Chicago.
Get in the car, let's go.
Tell me you were set up. Tell me.
I found him. The man who hurt her. I know who it is.
What?
You can see the betrayal in Nikki's eyes, remembering back when her big brother promised that he would stop, shattering any hope she had that he would change, him being the only reason why they have to leave their home and never look back, the one place they've always known, where their friends are, all because Aiden couldn't at least try to heal and move forward, to become a better person, a better brother. It's truly sad. After escaping 90% of the Chicago police force in the most infuriating section of all time, and on the drive, Nikki realizes that Aiden is the vigilante all over the news if it wasn't already obvious. We arrive at a safe enough position for Aiden to say his goodbyes to both his sister and his nephew before they move away from the danger that Aiden has put them in.
I followed you because I idolized you. Like Jackson does.
Aiden clearly doesn't understand what he put her and Jackson through and is more interested in if Nikki hates him or not. All he can say is, are we okay? By leaving, Nikki is protecting Aiden from making further actions that will put both her and her son in danger. Because without Aiden trying to quote protect his family, they wouldn't be in danger in the first place. With Nikki saying that she used to idolize him, is saying that she's lost all the hope that he was a good person like she always saw him as. Someone to look up to, and now that's broken, lost forever. whatsoever, and the only words he can mutter to his own nephew that he traumatized is "bye, Jax." Not even a sorry or an "I love you," just bye. Seconds later, from an audio recording that T-Bone dug up, we find out that it was Lucky Quinn who ordered the hit on Aiden, and enryece was the one who hired Enryece to take him out, which is unsurprising as the first time Quinn was shown on screen, I knew straight away it would have been all down to him. I'm either the smartest man alive or the story takes predictable turns. Either way, we head over to the Murloc Hotel to confront Lucky Quinn and bring him to justice. Back where it all began, where Aiden made the worst decision of his life, facing a man who destroyed Aiden Pearce and made him who he is today. On the way inside, we receive a concerning call from Clara saying that she's going to fix things and apologizing for what she did shortly before hanging up. It also seems like Aiden has forgiven her as he states they should meet, which is very surprising for his character, but maybe it's because he knows deep down inside that he's as much to blame for what's happened as she is. I don't know. But that's not what's important right now as we eavesdrop on Quinn's party and locate him. Witnessing the speech from Mayor Donovan Rushmore glazing Quinn, and once the speech is over, we see that Quinn has the mayor under his thumb as he has some form of blackmail on him, which is why he's able to manipulate the entire city through the mayor. But in worse news, we see a text that Quinn's enforcers have a lead on Clara and are waiting for his word, which isn't our main concern right now as we sneak into the Murloc Hotel to confront Lucky Quinn once and for all. But unfortunately, as we head up the elevator, he's 5 steps ahead and is expecting us, with Aiden getting captured moments later.
You don't take warnings very well.
You're a smart man. You should know when you're beaten. That hit you ordered. My niece died in that car. 6-year-old girl.
Oh. Is this what all the fuss is about? You must forgive me. You know, so many people come to me with the little problems. It's hard to keep track sometimes.
Again, they underestimate how badass Aiden is, and we take them all out, fighting through tons of the club's goons and Chicago police force till we reach the final room to put a stop to this Herbert the Pervert wannabe. Unfortunately, he hides behind an impenetrable window, but he clearly forgot that Aiden possesses the power of hacking, shutting down his pacemaker with a click of a button. Not so lucky after all, am I right? But he doesn't go down easy as he has some information to spill before he's sent to the depths of hell.
You expect me to beg? Lucky Quinn? On his knees.
Beg all you want, that doesn't interest me.
You don't even know why we attacked you. It was a mistake. We thought you wanted this. You were just sloppy. If you'd walked away, I would have forgotten you. What a lovely woman, Rose Washington. Wasn't for her death, where would I be? Most women die without purpose. But she had enough sense to die in front of the camera. See, and our mayor, never tidy with his secrets. And stupid enough to fall in love.
All of this. Lena's death. Because you didn't want to lose a puppet.
Do you think you've won? See, when I die, they'll build a statue. And you have to help me. The city didn't stop for your grieving family. Because you don't matter. I know I have proof.
Haven't you heard? I'm the vigilante. I clean up mess like you.
So the entire reason for the hit on Aiden was a complete misunderstanding. Aiden and Damien was at the wrong place at the wrong time, and it was in fact Iraq who was attempting to steal the blackmail video of the mayor, but Quinn didn't know that, as Iraq was a trusted associate in his criminal enterprise, being able to mask his actions and involvement, ultimately only detecting Aiden and Damien being in the systems at the Merlot. So of course Quinn couldn't risk them potentially destroying his criminal empire with the video and sent out the hit. One thing I don't understand is that in a city full of hackers, surely someone could have killed Quinn by hacking his pacemaker just like Aiden did, but I guess everyone is scared of him, so whatever. After killing Quinn, he fully embraces the Fox title, and Aiden Pearce is long gone. Feeling a weight lifted off his shoulders, a complete opposite reaction to most characters in media once they take out the final person in their quest for revenge. But it isn't that surprising if you kept up with Aiden's actions throughout the story. With Quinn gone forever, it's finally over, right? Well no, as when we escape the Merlot, Damien calls us up to let us know that Clara actually gave herself up to trade herself for Nikki, not knowing that we already saved her and revealing that she was the one who sold them out. In turn, Damien handed her location over to the club. So with no time left to lose, we race over to Clara's location at Lena's grave and attempt to save her before she gets clapped by the Fixer hitmen, but unfortunately, as we arrive, she gets shot and killed in an emotional scene involving some pretty sad music, forcing us to take out the incoming hitmen and say our goodbyes to Clara. Does Aiden take a step back and reflect on himself for bringing Clara into his mess, leading to her getting killed? Well, not really, as he instantly moves to the fact that Lena died because Bloom wanted to keep their secrets, instantly forgetting that Clara died for nothing. We then hear a voice recording from Clara to Aiden, which is heartbreaking, finding out that she was the one who was leaving the flowers at Lena's grave, showing her guilt.
The first time I saw you, you were playing chess with Jackson in the park. Both of you still very sad from the funeral. I could see how you made him feel safe. In our world, we hide in the dark, behind monitors. That's the only place we feel safe. It isn't enough to say that I didn't know. That lives would be lost or that it was only a job. I thought if I could help you heal, help you find answers, maybe I could heal myself. But I can't. When this is all over, I hope we can at least talk. Or if not, at least I can't disappear. That's something I'm good at.
One of the most undeserving deaths in video game history, I swear. Justice for Bad Boy 17, man. After letting T-Bone know that Clara is gone, which he takes fairly well for someone that wanted to boink her, might I add, we head back to the bunker to end this once and for all. Whilst contemplating if we should release the data or not, it turns out that Damien in fact wanted Bellwether more than full access to the CTOS. And if you remember earlier in the video, he was obsessed with it from the start, as there was manic scribbles on his wall at his apartment.
Careful, Aiden. When the lights go out, bad things tend to happen.
With one click of a button, Aiden releases and leaks all the blackmail files from Iraq to the news, exposing everyone for corruption and lies amongst many other things, including the video of the mayor killing Rose Washington. As we leave the bunker, Damien berates Aiden for leaking all the data, and we find out that he now has full unrestricted access to the CTOS, courtesy of Charlotte Gardner after trading information to her. Well, I assume anyway, as the game doesn't explicitly say that, other than in the meeting the two have earlier on. So considering Damien has full access to the CTOS, we dodge and weave his attacks and head to the central CTOS building to shut down the CTOS in order to stop Damien wreaking havoc in the city and put an end to him. But as we attempt to hack CTOS, we get locked out by an intense firewall, so we call up T-Bone for some help, and he suggests another option, which is to create a blackout, which is more than reluctant to do, as last time it killed a bunch of innocent people. But if they don't do anything, people will die either way. away. So with no other choice, we upload T-Bone's homemade virus into the CTOS at 3 different points across Chicago to lock out Damien and get past the firewall to hack the satellite, as the entire network is tied to it. This last mission is literally one of the worst mission designs to ever exist. They really said fuck it and throw everything at you, and I mean everything. Even scrambling the mission objectives is not even fun, it's just annoying. Anyways, after uploading the virus, we now have a clear line to the satellite to shut down the CTOS and pinpoint Damien's location. But as we arrive back at the central CTOS building, DedSec themselves contacts us and asks Aiden to work with them by giving them 30 seconds inside the CTOS to allow them to drop in their code and control it from the inside without Bloom knowing. And you know what Aiden does? He tells them to piss off. Without helping DedSec in their own crusade against Bloom, Aiden hacks the satellite, rebooting the entire system and causing a city-wide blackout. Despite probably killing a couple people just like T-Bone did in 2003, we use the blackout to our advantage and locate Damien at a nearby lighthouse, as it's the only place where power is running. Once we arrive, we come face to face with our old partner in crime, and during the showdown, Damien calls Aiden out on his bullshit and something he's clearly unable to see or even acknowledge, which is something he desperately needs to hear.
You think you're absolved because your cause is what? Noble?
You played me. That's what this is about.
I played you! Clara is as much your fault. So is your niece. That's why you sent your family away, right? They know what you are.
I actually praise Damien for saying this, even if Aiden doesn't listen for even a second, because Damien couldn't be more right if he tried. But then out of nowhere, Jordy shows up to seize the opportunity to cash in the contract against Aiden, because after all, they wasn't actually friends and it's just business. I can't help but admire his transparency and dedication to the job. With nothing else to do but comply with Jordy, Aiden drops his weapon, but if you've been paying attention, the world is your weapon in Watch Dogs.
I don't know what Damien wanted in those final moments. Death, I suppose. I thought I could fix the little girl's death, but instead it led to all of this. Exposed lies, corrupted kings, a broken city. And me, changed man. I don't look back anymore. I don't regret. I look forward. Everything is connected, and I'll use that to expose, to protect, and if necessary, to punish.
The end. Aiden doesn't necessarily grow as a person through the story, he just comes to terms with his role within this world, to bring justice in his own way. He starts as a killer and he ends as a killer. Nothing changes, but the message and reasoning gets clearer. I think Ubisoft knew what they were doing with Aiden's character. People view him as a blank piece of wood, but they clearly misunderstood him as a character. The depth is there, but it's hard to see from a first glance. So if you truly read into his actions and thoughts throughout the game, only then you'll understand what Ubisoft was trying to accomplish with this character. Throwing the typical revenge is bad route in the bin and replacing it with this beauty of a story. During the credits, we find out that Yolanda is actually writing a book on her encounter with Aiden, which makes no sense to be honest, as she barely even spoke to the dude and couldn't have analyzed his character at all. Unless she's one of the best psychologists to ever exist or something, but I doubt it. It's most likely just to profit off Aiden's rise in fame as a vigilante. Shortly after the credits, we receive a call from Jordy handing us Maurice's location, as it's our final loose end, and because after all, it's just business for Jordy. So we head over to Maurice's location for our final decision. Shoot him or walk away. I made the better decision, a decision a real man would make. Maybe it's not the decision Aiden would truly make, but I wanted to give him somewhat of a chance to redeem himself and leave his story on a positive note by sparing Maurice. He's broken enough as it is already, living in his own private hell, even begging Aiden to shoot him and repeating a number sequence 1, 2, 3, 5, which is the start of the Fibonacci sequence which was used in the Bellwether system, being planted into the minds of citizens in Chicago as a test to see if it would work. And because his mental state is so broken, he repeats the sequence of numbers, showing the programming is still working. It's better to just walk away and let him live, breaking the cycle of vengeance.
Maurice is living his own private hell. He's a victim in all of this. And I've seen enough death. He's gonna get a second chance. We both are.
With the main story of Watch Dogs now concluded, we can move on to the various DLCs this game has to offer, starting with the exclusive DLC contracts, which are nothing too special, so there's no real point of going through those, as it's practically everything we've done previously with little to no story other than working with DedSec. Next we have a digital trick DLC called Conspiracy, and I actually failed to mention the digital trick side content, as I wanted to wait till I went over the DLCs, but mainly because the digital trips are balls to the walls insane. And probably would have messed up the flow of the story quite a bit. Anyways, in the Conspiracy digital trip, you identify undercover cyborgs hidden amongst civilians and take them out, which is a representation of Aiden's paranoia and him not knowing who to trust, as he doesn't trust anyone. Next, we have Alone, which is definitely the most interesting of all the digital trips, as it's set in a post-apocalyptic Chicago shrouded in darkness that's totally controlled by the CTOS with camera robots, and you have to deactivate generators in order to restore Chicago. Nikki also narrates this digital trip too, and I don't think it's a coincidence along with the enemies being camera robots, as it's clearly a representation on Aiden's fears of being watched and the truth about his secrets coming to light. Even the fear that Nikki will know who he truly is, wanting to move from the darkness, from the shadows of always being in fear of himself being exposed, but is ultimately always ending up back in the darkness. Next we have Madness, where you drive around a hellish version of Chicago, running over demons and fueling your ride with their souls, also outrunning demon cops. All whilst Geordie is narrating, which is a representation of Aiden's brutal natures, lack of empathy towards his enemies, and recklessness, especially with the narrator being one of the most unhinged characters this game has to offer. Next we have Psychedelic, where you bounce on flowers and complete various tracks to some fun, goofy music, which is the first time we ever see Aiden show any positive emotion, and could definitely represent his inner child and the emotions he has pushed so far down in himself, putting up this wall of being cold and stoic. Finally, we have Spider Tank, where you control a literal spider tank created by Bloom and wreak havoc in the city, destroying waves and waves of cops, which could represent abusing power and causing chaos with said power. Overall, being a power fantasy for Aiden. Each and every digital trip also has their own skill tree, bar from the Psychedelic one, which makes them more replayable and interesting to play through, which is nice. Now that everything is completed in the main game, it's time for the standalone DLC featuring the one and only T-Bone, titled The Bad Blood DLC has an abrupt start, with T-Bone removing more data about him from the Bloom servers and planting a false trail to lead Bloom away from him as he's decided to leave Chicago.
Hey! That's my fucking coffee!
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Relax, you guys. First of all, this is anything but coffee. And secondly, I'm here because head office hired me to run a pen test on your system. And good job, guys. You passed.
After laying the beat down on the two Bloom employees that evidently don't have a good tasting coffee, we get thrown straight into the action, forcing us to escape the CTOS center as it assumes you've already played the main game, which we have. So this section is pretty easy and involves everything we've done before. Overall, there's not much difference from the main game than a couple new gadgets and new takedown moves with a taser, but I definitely would have liked to see more of a difference, as T-Bone feels more similar to Aiden, even having the same skill tree. Anyways, after fighting through the CTOS center, we make our way outside and escape using a nearby train. Well, not really, as it disappeared for some reason. God, I love Ubisoft games. After that failed train escape attempt, we hop in the car and drive back to T-Bone's brand new hideout. On the way, we call up our day one Aiden Pearce, and T-Bone informs him that he's leaving Chicago for good, saying goodbye to his old friend. Shortly arriving at the swanky new hideout, T-Bone is clearly into his Ubisoft video games, I see. After heading to bed, an old friend starts blowing up T-Bone's phone, waking him up from his beauty sleep.
No, I'm not answering you. No, just fuck off, go away. All right, all right. It's been 10 years, Frewer. This had better be good.
Remember that homeless guy Tobias from earlier in the video? Well, it turns out that he and T-Bone were old buddies back in the day, as they both worked for Bloom on the CTOS system we know today. But one thing I find strange is that out of nowhere, Tobias contacted T-Bone after 10 years like it's nothing. Like, did he just have his number in case of an emergency, and said emergency happened to be like 10 years later? Anyways, it turns out that Tobias has been kidnapped by fixers, so instead of leaving Chicago, we head out to save Tobias using his useless directions, eventually stopping the vehicle and saving Tobias.
Jesus, Ray. You'd really zap me.
Says the lunatic with the tire iron.
Despite just saving his ass, Tobias proceeds to taunt T-Bone about the blackout in 2003, which is a sore wound for T-Bone, and doesn't take lightly to Tobias's cheeky remarks. But knowing that Bloom will eventually find Tobias, he lets it crash at his place while he figures out what they know, as if they know where to find Tobias, they'd eventually find him.
Do not touch any of my beer.
Moments later, we call up a police detective by the name of Sheila Billings, who is someone T-Bone has previously worked with in the past, and considering he needs money and supplies, she has a couple of jobs for him to do involving cleaning up the crime in the streets of Chicago, stopping criminals such as the Chicago Slav Club, fixers, and the Pawnee Militia, introducing us to the street sweep activities, which involve very similar objectives to those in the main game's side content, with the first street sweep being mandatory. We head over to a location controlled by the Chicago Slav Club, which is now run by Quinn's lovely son, and knock out 2 targets. Easy stuff. Oh yeah, and there's driving contracts too, which are easily the most fun of the side activities in this DLC, specifically the overdrive contract, as you have to keep at a high speed whilst driving through checkpoints. I'm starting to realize how much I love fast-paced action. One thing I have forgotten to mention though is the lack of changes in the open world from the main game, specifically with reused voice lines from NPCs and enemies, which is disappointing and kinda lazy. I wouldn't mind it, but it seriously broke my immersion.
Show me that pretty little mask.
Returning to our hideout, T-Bone needs a way back into Bloom's system for a CTOS access point at Bloom Forge. But before we head over there, we pick up a new friend by the name of Eugene, which turns out to be a new piece of kit, an RC car. Only someone like T-Bone would name his RC car Eugene. With Eugene in hand, we head over to Bloom Forge. As much as I enjoy T-Bone as a character when he's on screen, God, his monologues just don't hit the same as Aiden's, mainly because he doesn't strike me as the monologue type. We all know that Aiden is Chicago's Batman, not T-Bone. Once we reach the Bloom Forge building, we head inside and make our way through their state-of-the-art security system. Lasers. Yeah, lasers. Which are surprisingly easy to get past, well, for the most part anyway. Eugene comes in handy too, but I'll admit, I barely use the RC car in this DLC moving forward due to the fact it's pretty useless, considering you can once again abuse the silenced pistol just like the main game and take out everyone inside. But I guess it's cool using the RC car to taser enemies, but you know, whatever. The novelty wears off after like 2 seconds. After making our way through the Bloom Forge building, we find out exactly what Bloom has on Tobias, and it's pretty bad. Having A-list fixers outgunning for him, so after making our way out of the building, we call up Tobias to let him know, and the great plan that T-Bone has to help out his buddy is to use him as bait to draw out the fixers in order to find out more information. What a great friend. So we quickly head over to meet up with Tobias, ready for phase 2. As we drive over to Hobo Town alongside Tobias to use him as bait, the two get into a conversation where we see firsthand the bond that the two have, with Tobias being the scared, vulnerable one, and T-Bone being the somewhat reckless, badass one, which is definitely the most interesting part of this DLC, as in the main game, there wasn't any form of bonding between Aiden and any of the characters, due to him not being able to open up and had to remain in control. So it's nice to see two characters this time around having a real connection, and I absolutely love car conversations in video games. They easily provide some of the best dialogue, and that isn't any different in Watch Dogs Bad Blood. Once we arrive outside Hobo Town, T-Bone runs down the plan with Tobias, and the plan is pretty simple. Whilst Tobias walks on his lonesome, we will follow behind, scanning for potential threats, so we do just that, with Tobias being nervous the entire time. Eventually, a fixer blows his cover and tries to take out Tobias, so we take him out first, which forces Tobias to flee to his nearby hideout in Hobo Town to hide away from being smoked.
Brewer, open the door and come on out. It's all clear.
That's exactly what they'd make you say at gunpoint.
Brewer, nobody's got me at gunpoint.
That's the second thing they'd make you say.
Moments later, tons of fixers start headed to our position, forcing us into a camera turret section, which is a pretty nice change up from the usual gunplay as the turrets are slightly overpowered. And after murdering tons of incoming fixers, we hack one of their phones to locate a fleeing fixer's location to download his GPS data. So with the fixer's location in hand, we quickly head over there and chase after him whilst downloading his GPS data to see where he escapes to. They seriously love this downloading data shtick in this game, don't they? After downloading the data, we find out that they've been going back and forth from a construction site, so we call up Tobias to update him on our findings. And he asks us to meet at a fast food restaurant called Quinky's, considering he's homeless after all, and that's all he can eat. On the way to the lovely restaurant, we overhear a news report from Bloom's director of public relations, putting out a $100,000 reward for any information on Aiden Pearce. So considering Aiden is a good friend of T-Bone's, we assist him by keeping this situation under control, starting with investigating the old bunker where a nice little QR code is waiting for us to scan, which reveals that a hacker by the name of Crow is planning to hand over some information she uncovered about Aiden, Clara, and the bunker for the 100k reward. Next, we head over to a nearby location and find a body that resembles Aiden but turns out to be one of his fanboys playing dress up. That unfortunately got killed as there's a huge reward out there for Aiden. I mean, what would you expect running around playing dress up as a vigilante? Someone who literally everyone has on their shit list. Next, we head over to a pharmacy where we uncover a voice recording from two unknown men that are planning to hire the Rosario brothers, who are a group of deadly fixers, as they want in on the reward for Aiden, but are currently waiting for Bloom's info on Aiden's potential whereabouts. Oh yeah, and we also tried to contact Aiden to no avail. I guess he's baking a cake or something. Finally, we head over to the final location at the pavilion where we witness the hacker Crow sitting atop the structure, handing over the information she found to Bloom, demanding 10 grand up front, telling them that Aiden was using the bunker as a hideout, forcing Bloom to check the bunker. So considering there may be potential clues there that Bloom can uncover, we quickly head over to the bunker, but unfortunately Bloom are already there uncovering data on Aiden's potential locations. So we plant a bug to track Charlotte Gardner's cause and cover our tracks, performing one of the worst hacking minigames yet. Moments later, Charlotte calls up one of the Rosario brothers to inform him of a potential address in St. Louis, but in response tells her that they're already on their way to 3 other locations: Aiden's old hideout, Yolanda's house, and finally Nikki's house. So we quickly head over to all 3 locations and take out all 3 of the Rosario brothers. Easy stuff. After taking out the last bounty hunter, Aiden finally answers the phone, and of course T-Bone is pissed, but informs him about everything that's occurred with Bloom and the bounty hunters, and Aiden being Aiden, he doesn't even thank T-Bone for helping him out, being the last time we hear from the Fox. Moving on to more important things, we meet up with Tobias at the fast food restaurant, witnessing him taking a ton of meds, which explains why he's practically lost it since he was fired from Bloom, which was all T-Bone's fault. But unlike Aiden with his own mishaps, T-Bone is actually remorseful about it and feels sorry for Tobias. Anyways, after the two go over the plan, we drive over to the fixer hideout at the construction site, and upon arrival, we find the security control room where we hack into the security system, tapping into Tobias's body cam, where we find out that fixers are taking their victims to a remote location in ambulances, including a mole who is a police informant, and the reason why fixers are after Tobias, which is to draw out T-Bone. Of course it is. So to find out more info, we search for the mole on a nearby ship containing a torture room where the mole might be, but before that, we defend Tobias from a couple of fixers using a sexy sniper rifle. God, I love sniper rifle sections, man. With Tobias surviving the attack, we head over to the ship thanks to Tobias's crane skills and find the torture room containing a computer, learning that the fixers are taking the mole to the unknown location, so T-Bone orders Tobias, of all people, to follow them. A few minutes later, after leaving the fixer hideout, Tobias calls us up to inform us that he followed them to an old mansion, marking it for us, but before we head over there to find out more information from the police informant, we overhear a broadcast from DedSec sending out a warning to everyone as they've been attacked, so T-Bone, being the curious soul he is, investigates the conundrum with DedSec and their higher-ups, the Council of Daves, which sound like a lame D&D group. After going on a wild goose chase, uncovering audio recordings and finding a video of Default getting rejected by the Council of Daves.
There is no you in DedSec.
Yeah, well there is a you in DedSuck.
It leads us to the bodies of two missing DedSec members, Dave and Dave. Get it? That's why they call the Council of Daves. The name still sucks. Upon uncovering the bodies, we find out that it was another one of the Daves that ordered a hit on his own people and is planning to do the exact same thing to the rest of the Daves, so we quickly head over to their location and defend them from waves and waves of fixers. We then hack a nearby phone and find out exactly why he turned on his fellow brothers, which turns out to be pretty underwhelming, as it was because they were, quote, going to waste the potential of what they created. Overall, this side story is probably my least favorite, as it's interesting on the surface, but the more we uncover, the less interesting it gets. And we don't even take out the traitor either. It's just very underwhelming, and it sucks because they could have definitely done something way cooler here, but I get it. It's a DLC after all, not a fully fledged game. We drive a boat over to that mansion Tobias talked about earlier and infiltrate said mansion, finding the police informant who is pretty banged up to say the least.
I can't be here when the cops come. So if you got anything you can tell me about Bloom. A name. Anything.
I was following Bloom's money guy. Guy named Jack Finally. I never got close to the boss, but Jack, you promise me you'll hurt those fuckers.
You wait until they get close, and then aim for the face. You understand?
Leaving the police informant to hopefully defend himself and survive. Honestly, this cutscene had me so invested in the story from here on out. After leaving the area, we locate Mr. Jack Finally, who works for Bloom, tracing him back to his favorite bar, so we head over to the bar to find him and...
We'll make it real easy to... you dirty fucker! Gotcha.
You might think T-Bone is done for and is about to be captured. Well, think again, as T-Bone has some abnormal intolerance to being sedated, and after performing some quick time events, we manage to hop in a car and tail Jack. On the way, we receive a call from Tobias, who is finally ready to man up and fight back, not cowering in the shadows anymore, and we intercept a call from Jack, finding out that it wasn't Bloom but Default who has been the one sending fixers after them. Yeah, the same mouse DJ hacker from the main game. How? Well, after we tail Jack back to some sort of warehouse, we locate a server, uploading a virus to it, and we find out that Default used a body double back in the main game, which explains why he's alive. Yeah, pretty cheap, I know. After uploading the virus, we receive a call from Default himself.
You inbred backwater Sasquatch! Do you understand how extinct you are?
Well, why don't you stop by so we can talk about it?
Whiny as always, I see. T-Bone recognizes the old human eye building behind Default, pinpointing his location, so we quickly head over to the abandoned building and head inside, taking out a ton of fixers along the way, but once we reach the final area, it gets dark very, very quickly. As we walk through the abandoned rooms, we see reenactments of the deaths of all the victims from the 2003 blackout T-Bone caused, being some sort of messed up show created by Default, but the last victim is important as it turns out to be Default's own brother, which explains the vendetta Default has against T-Bone, but this messed up art gallery doesn't sit well with T-Bone.
No! No! It's all bullshit! That's not the way it went down at all, you twisted psychopathic fuck! Is this how you get off? Well, fuck you!
He clearly hasn't forgiven himself for causing the blackout, but what doesn't make sense to me is he has killed way more than 11 people. A lot of them being Bloom employees, just doing their job in the course of this DLC. But maybe I'm looking into it too much. Default continues to torment T-Bone due to his hatred against him, and assures him that he'll make it right. Probably by dying or something, because an eye for an eye, they say in the movies, or something like that, I don't know. After fighting our way out of the abandoned building, we call up Tobias to let him know exactly what's going on, informing him about Default and his deceased brother. Heading back to the hideout where we fight off more incoming fixers as Default is really gunning for us now. After dealing with the fixers, we accidentally miss one and T-Bone is held at gunpoint, but then out of nowhere we get saved. finally, Tobias isn't the damsel in distress anymore. He's actually fighting back for once. I love to see it. I love when a character has a stop being terrified of getting your hands dirty arc. After Tobias pretends to be a fixer on the phone to trick them that they're dead, we receive the location of the meeting spot where Default might be. So we head over there to end this once and for all. After fighting our way through the underground hideout and guiding Tobias through a pretty cool area, I seriously love the environmental design in this mission, but what I don't love are these god-awful escort sections. I can't ever get away from them. With that all out the way, we come face to face with Default. Well, slightly, as he's always behind a computer screen, just like me, to be honest.
For those of you playing at home, now is your chance to vote. Should Ray here earn his freedom? Turn off your camera if you want him to walk. Keep on watching if you want to see how this plays out.
If you do this, you'll be suffering from the same damn guilt that's been eating me up all these years. I'm sorry I did what I did. And I'm sorry that this fucknut dragged you back into it. But even if I deserve this, you don't. You don't.
I guess we've got our answer. So long, Ray.
I honestly don't blame anyone for wanting T-Bone dead. After all, he was the reason their friends or family members ended up getting killed, or because he wanted to expose Bloom. I guess what they don't know is that it's been eating him up inside to this day, the absolute guilt that he feels, but that doesn't change the fact he got away with what he did. By running away and try to right his wrongs by sending money to the families which would not suffice for their deaths. Whilst on the brink of death ourselves, Tobias pulls up just in time and we use his phone camera to hack into the systems to divert the gas into Default's room. Well, try anyway, as for some reason my game glitched and wouldn't let me complete the puzzle. So after nearly smashing my controller, we successfully divert the gas to Default's room, killing him. Well, not really, as there's fan speculation that he's still kicking about, but I'm not sure. It's up for debate.
Let's say I do stick around. Hypothetically speaking. Try and find the chink in Bloom's armor. Would you help me?
Abso-fucking-lutely.
After deciding not to leave Chicago for the time being and continue his crusade against Bloom, T-Bone has his first taste of a burger. The end. Watch Dogs Bad Blood has to definitely be one of the best DLCs for a game I've played. It's short, sweet, and doesn't overstay its welcome, with a really good story to top it all off, despite me enjoying the main game a lot more. I will say I am slightly disappointed that there wasn't more differences added compared to the main game, especially with what I mentioned previously, but what more could you ask for a follow-up side story DLC? I enjoyed it, and that's what matters. Overall, despite the rocky launch and the absolute downgrade from the E3 demo, Watch Dogs still holds up as a great title, and it definitely doesn't deserve the hate that it gets, especially the blind hate that Aiden Pearce gets as a character too. It remains one of my favorite games in the franchise, and I cannot wait to talk about the sequel, so if you'd like to see that, just let me know in the comments below. A big thank you to all the members of the enryece YouTube channel. If you want to become a member and get a shout out like these awesome people on screen right now, just click the join button below. It's pretty cheap. I made it the cheapest option because I know some of you out there, this economy is pretty crazy, so I don't want to, make you and force you to spend your hard-earned money, but it does support me, so yeah, if you could, spare 99p, then thank you very much. Anyways, with that being said, like and subscribe and take care.
With fists like these, I don't even gotta pack no heat. You can't stop me, son.